All right, we are live. Hey everyone, TJ Lombardi here, and I'm really excited to introduce a good fellow author, friend, um, military veteran to my community. Those who don't know, Michael Head. Uh, Michael, are you okay with me calling you Mike, or you want Michael? What do you prefer?
I usually go by Michael.
Okay, I probably should have asked you that before we went live. Like,
Yeah, it's no worries. Yeah, no, I when I was growing up, all the other Michaels were Mike. So for me
oh,
to
okay.
stand out, I was the only Michael.
Yeah. So I can understand that to a certain point because growing up my whole life, I was Tim. Now, granted, when I was really young, my parents used to call me TJ or TJ Maxx. Well, when you're Tim your whole life, unless you're in trouble, it's Timothy John. But when I was growing up, I was like, man, I want to be cool, right? Every kid wants to be cool. I was turning 13. I'm like, you know what? Tim isn't cool anymore. TJ's cool. I'm going to be TJ from now on. And I've been TJ ever since. I
Uh-huh.
still haven't gotten a cool status, but at least I'm TJ.
I got this one thing going for me, man.
Yeah, right. And that's wait, I should probably we have comments already?
Oh
Oh, Brian Nordic, Timothy, what bro, why are you still awake?
wow.
What are you doing? You're a crazy madman. I hope you called in sick to work at least so you could just continue to write. But yeah, I know, right? It's crazy. I just, you know, TJ, that's it. That was it. I don't answer to Timothy though. No, no. I'm here to heckle. It's about time you did something productive, Brian. Uh
I think Brian stayed up just so he could heckle us.
I know,
That's his
dude. So here's the funny thing, because both of us, man, we're off to a great start on the live. So the first thing I wake up this morning to a text from Brian, and of course, it's literally like, hi, hey. Now, granted, I would much prefer to just look over and be like, hey, good morning, Brian. Just as he sleeps and cuddles right next to me. But no, I wake up to this text message from Brian and I'm just like fully half awake, half asleep, and I'm like, bro, why are we talking right now? I know it's like 4 p.m. for you, but it's definitely too early for me. That's all I know. And he was not planning to stay up this late, so
hmm it's funny because before we went live, we were actually talking about Brian.
that's right.
Do you still have it? Do you think we should show people the thing that we were talking about with
Oh,
Brian?
absolutely, absolutely.
The thing, because I mean, if Brian wants to, if Brian's here to heckle, but we have something for Brian.
So okay, so to answer your question, Brian, number one, it's Timothy John. Also, for my normal audience and everything else, you never know what you're going to get when you tune in live. So we have rated, Michael and I have rated this M for military man-child. And
Yep.
that is where we're both military veterans. We're both man-childs. We could be really heavy on a light side. We could be light with a heavy side, light and dark. You don't know where we're going to go, but that's who we are. So
We don't know where we're gonna go.
we have
That's
no idea. At least we're not lieutenants, though, so we know how to get out from wherever we
yeah.
go wandering.
Exactly. We at least know where we are, where we're
Yeah.
when we are there.
All right, bitch, I have 10,000 words, and you'd be absolutely correct. I went for a power nap so I could be extra salty today. Oh my God. Oh man.
Oh man, I'm so excited for
I don't
Brian.
like this.
I'm so excited for Brian because his book's about to come out on ebook. It's
Yep.
it's his first one. I'm super excited for him.
Oh yeah.
I've already got it pre-ordered. But yeah, you've got to show we've got to show the people
All right.
this T-shirt that's gonna go on sale for
This
Brian.
is going to be a collector's item, people. For right now, you have a limited chance to come and back us and support us as we promote this merchandise.
It's amazing. Cause see, you can wear that and people will be like, "What? Who is that?" And you'd be like, "You don't know who this is?
How do
You
you
don't.
not know?
You don't know your freedoms. Your freedom is because of
Yeah.
this man. You can get away from me. Just knife hand him. Brian freaking Norton.
That's Major Norton to you. You better watch yourself.
Yeah.
Leader of Quest Academy, all things power. So yeah, so Brian, Michael and I were talking about we're gonna have this printed up into shirts. And Geneva, when you come on or when you watch us, I know you're gonna back us. But we want to get this into t-shirts. So when we walk around Dragon Con or 20 bucks to 50K, I don't know any other authors at 20 bucks to 50K or Dragon Con that are as this prestigious level as Major Brian Norton.
That's right.
Yeah. So go ahead, people. Let us know in the chats. Fund us now if you guys want a rare t-shirt.
Yeah, that's right. That's
All 5 people.
Limited edition.
Yeah. Limited edition because we can probably only afford to print 5 of them.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
It's beautiful. That's a beautiful t-shirt.
It's gonna be gorgeous. Oh, see, here we go, Jenna. I'll get one. I've never gotten so much more positive feedback than Brian's face. Let's just put it out.
Gotta love some Brian's face.
Major BJ, perfect.
Oh man.
There's so much truth to that, giving like the military stuff that happens.
That's right.
Oh, thanks, AK. I miss you too. I love all the photos that you guys are posting. So thanks for coming on and supporting and saying hi. I miss you guys. I really do. Hopefully, if I ever make it back to Montana, since there's only like 2 things positive about Montana, you and your family and Glacier National Park. Other than that, but no, oh my God. So I got to say, Michael, like what was really funny was so how did Michael and I really get connected? One, I knew of Michael from Gildify Con back in November. And one of the funny things though, is I just remember your laugh, like, cause you were always just laughing and cutting it up and stuff. Well, then I start reading your most recent book as an ARC reader, Wandering Warrior Judge, which is really good book, you guys. Really fun, really enjoyable. And so then he and I started talking. Well, as we were talking, I was giving him some feedback, my thoughts on the book. We decided, hey, let's do this author AMA. Let's spend some time hanging out together, have some fun. And I grabbed the photo of Michael in his Legion sweatshirt and I posted that. And I'm like, damn, like we really share a lot of same similarities, body type, like build. When I grow my beard out, he's got the hat, and I'm like, damn, that kind of looks like we could be related. So I post the photo. Not even a day later, my mom comes up to me and she's like, hey, who's that? Because you guys look like you could be cousins or something. Like, you guys should just take a picture together. A day later, Geneva messages me and she's like, oh my God, you guys could take a picture together and be related. So that's where I was like, you know what? Screw you guys. Fine. I'll grow a beard out. We coordinated black t-shirts.
That's right.
And then I grabbed a damn pillow.
Yep.
Because Mike is normally sitting with his pillow. And I'm like, okay, I'll do this. Michael and I are totally related. The only problem I'm afraid of, Michael, is that I feel like in this position, I am one rolled ankle away from turning into a Stephen Hawking of writing. Right, like, I write books that you like to read. So, oh my God. Oh, let's be honest. When it comes to physique, TJ brings the gun show and Michael brings the cuddles.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you.
Oh my gosh. Dude, I've lost about an inch on my arms. I've been doing a lot more running, a lot more walking. I haven't been lifting as much. So yeah, I definitely missed some weights, but I'm like, dude, I need to get that cardio in right now. So
dude, whenever I was in really good shape, I would warm up at 315 on the bench. Like I had, and my arms were 18 inches around, my neck was 17 and a half. So my arms were bigger around than my neck. And then I broke my neck, and I was in and out of a hospital bed for like 2 years in physical recovery and stuff. Like my whole right side was in and out, like it was paralyzed, and it wasn't. My right arm would work, but my right leg wouldn't work, and then my hand wouldn't function properly, and all kinds of stuff. So, like I said, for like 2 years, I wasn't able to lift and stuff. So I lost so many games. Like I'm a shadow of my former self. But how's that song go? I'm as once strong as I ever was, or something like that.
Like a rock.
Yeah.
He was strong as he could be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm as once strong as I ever was. Yeah, I think something like that. But yeah, I've got burst strength. I just don't have the stamina that I used to have.
O-face. You just gotta O-face everything you do.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have
you're like, oh hey honey, you want help carrying the groceries into the car? And you do that one thing, you're like, oh god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have done that in one trip.
Yeah. I will always take one trip. I don't care if I have to recover for 3 hours afterwards. One trip.
You know you're in a midlife crisis when you get to that point that your one trip grocery carry is your main challenge of the day. I'm just throwing shade over here as I sit like Jabba the Hutt. When Michael comes to Ireland, I'll regret all these quips. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, Brian was like, "Hey, Michael, if him and I were talking about possibly doing a trilogy together at some point, and he was like, "Hey, if we spend a lot of time together, you could help me work out and get into shape." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Wait, maybe not."
Oh, well, it's funny because I was on an interview with Troy, which is the podcast, and Carson Clay, that was it. And we were talking about it. And I was like, yeah, dude, like I used to literally spend 2 to 3 hours a day in the gym, and that was on top of cardio. And I was like, I'm a full-time author now, right now. Like, why would I do that? What's my purpose? Like, I can go into the gym, get a 40-minute pump. I feel good. I go home, I do my cardio. What's the point of spending 2-3 hours in the gym? I just don't have that in my life right now. So
Yeah, I mean, you're not running around with gear on all the time.
right.
Not having to keep up with a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds anymore to show your dominance. Like, it's not necessary.
Yeah. Well, that was where. So I tell you the story about the LT that like completely tore up his knee.
I don't think so.
I'm at Malmstrom Air Force Base. Man, we are going like totally different avenue than I thought we would for this stream. But this is great. So I was like, oh, we'll get into the military stories later. Like, nah, man, bam.
Yeah.
So I'm up in Montana. We're guarding nukes, and there was the tactical team that flew in the Hueys. Yes, Hueys are still in the inventory. They flew in the Hueys, and yes, for those non-American military, LT means lieutenant. So thank you for the clarification. So the LT comes in to the VRC. He's just all casted up, and I was like, "Damn, LT, like, what the hell you do?" "Oh man, I tore this, I tore that, I did da. But man, Doc said I'm gonna be out a couple months, but nah, screw that, bro. I'm gonna take the cast off. I'm gonna go run with the boys. I feel good." Why would you go run with the boys? "Oh man, I gotta show them that I can still do it, man. Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter if there's an injury. I'm gonna push through it." You are the dumbest LT on this base, aren't you? And he literally like just he was shaken, right? Like when you have an NCO who does not give a shit and he just gets shaken. And I was like, LT,
NCO means non-commissioned officer.
Oh, yes, thank you.
It's like a sergeant.
You're like one viewer right now, and it's me. Dumb everything down.
Got you, Brian. I knew.
I looked at this LT and I was like, dude, don't you have a kid? He, well, yeah, yeah. He's about 9 months old right now. Blah blah blah. Okay, yeah. How tough is it gonna look when your kid's 9 and you can't even go play soccer with him? Because that's what you're about to do to yourself. You're about to go push yourself, not recover, and you're going to regret this 10, 20, 30 years down the road when no one gives a shit if you can run on it or not. So it's like, dude, just take the time to chill out, man. And I don't know if he ever did or not. I hope he did, but because I know for right now, when I can't throw a fucking tennis ball or a
Yep.
football or anything without hurting, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that wasn't worth it now. So
I'm I'm literally the poster child for dumb decisions when it comes to recovery.
and here's the other funny thing, bro. Like, when you're in the military for a long time, you meet everyone from all over of different branches. I have never met an Air Force person per se, maybe the exception of like top tier guys that were like, man, I wish I had joined the Army first, or I wish I had joined the Marines. However, I meet everyone else from other branches who are like, damn, I wish I had just gone Air Force.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that join the Army first and then switch to Air Force.
Oh yeah, a
And
lot of people.
or sometimes they if they can, they'll go like Coast Guard, something like that. One of the less kinetically inclined forces,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Which
if they
they do have some badasses.
Oh yeah.
Coast Guard has some badasses, so we're not throwing shade to the puddle pirates, even though we love them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean somebody's got to run interdiction against the cartels and stuff like that's and like their rescue divers and shit like that. Yeah, they've got some badasses, but I'm just saying on your normal day-to-day, like how many 7 mile rucks do they go on a weekly basis?
well, here's the interesting thing, because I have a good buddy who started Coast Guard. He's now Army. Um, wait, I gotta act like my cousin.
Yeah.
We gotta keep playing the role here.
Yep.
So I forget what his position was, but I knew he was at least like in charge of one of the smaller ships. But he's like, dude, a lot of our people have so many back injuries, and a lot of people don't realize it because you're constantly going up and down on those waves, and all of that pressure is just shocking their system.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, I would have never thought about that unless he had said something. So
Yeah. That's one of those things.
American military is so confusing to me. Like, I'd watch Top Gun and be like, holy shit, the Air Force is cool. And then you find out he's in the fucking Navy. Oh, yeah, right? Like, oh, you're in the Air Force because you fly planes? No, I'm in the Navy. Oh, okay. Oh, so you're a pilot. You're in the Air Force? No, I'm in the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm a pilot. I'm in the Army. Like, all the branches of aircraft, all the branches of helicopters.
Yeah, it's like the Army has more boats that float than the Navy does. Like what?
Yeah. That's a canoe. It counts. That's an inflatable rubber craft. It counts.
Yep. Or
Damn it.
the cargo ships and all that stuff. Yeah. Like or the what is it? The 88 kilos. They've got the patrol boats.
Yeah.
The
Dude, the
armed
Air
patrol
Force has
boats.
patrol boats too.
Yeah.
We have them
Yep.
down in Florida.
Yep. With
Um,
they've got the miniguns on them, don't they?
I
The
would.
the 6 barrel miniguns. What are those things
No,
called?
it's actually it's a barista cannon where we just pour coffee straight out of it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
six
just
barrel
such a
barista.
lovely day on the water. Oh, excuse me,
Shall we go?
ma'am. Would you like
Shall
some
we
help
go
with that
deep sea
sunscreen?
fishing? Shall we go deep sea fishing for the yellowfin tuna, sir?
Give it to the Navy chef in the back. Have him make up some sushi.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Man.
Oh, so that was another funny thing. So security forces, Air Force, like combined military, police, combat infantry, and security all together, giant cluster. Well, we were going through an inspection, and some of the guys were talking, like the security forces center down in Texas. They were like, yeah, well, if you ever go through their inventory system, they actually have a submarine periscope on their books. Why do we have a submarine periscope on the books? What do we even need that for? Like, oh yeah, well, it's on their books. They have it. They have to account for it. It's like, this is why we're the best military and the dumbest at the same time. I mean, think of that. Like, you're in Pakistan. Like, oh hey, raise the periscope. Why? We can look over the mountain. We could just climb up there too.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh my gosh.
Or just send a drone, or like, well, whenever I was in Iraq, I think it was my third deployment. We had these blimps.
Right? Oh
yeah. Yeah. So you send the blimp up, and it's got, like, we called it the eye in the sky, and it's got like this cluster of cameras that you can look 360 for miles in any direction, and it's held down by like 8 guide wires.
Yep.
But of course, one day, some brand new fucking private, it's their job to go out there and make sure that all the guide wires are held down properly.
Oh no.
And so where all the carabiners are supposed to clip on is this big honking D-ring clip thing, right? Like,
yep.
Obviously this big meaty thing is where you're supposed to clip. And where does he clip? This tiny little O-ring under it. It's like the O-ring where the pin that holds the thing goes in, right? Like, obviously any person with a brain would say, hey, this is the part that holds the D-ring to keep the pin from slipping out. This is obviously not where I should clip this carabiner that holds this, several $1,000-pound blimp and several $1 million camera cluster. Like, I should not clip this through that tiny little O-ring. But no, on all 8 of them, he clips them through that tiny little O-ring. And
no.
And a very strong gust of wind comes along. And so I was in the talk, right? I was in my company talk, because I was headquarters platoon sergeant at the time. So I'm just watching, and I was like, wow, I'm getting a really weird angle on the blimp. Like, does anybody else? Hey, am I high right now? Like, what you guys do? Because the blimp, I mean, it's had the same view on the front gate for 6-8 months now, and now I'm getting this weird angle. What is happening? And then it like picks up speed because it hits a certain altitude, right?
Oh no!
It, like, picks up speed, and now it's really moving, right? Like 60 miles an hour. Like, whoa! Done. And they were and like, so I called the battalion talk, and I was like, hey, this is Eagle X-Ray. Are you guys watching the blimp? And they're like, yeah. So it's not just our feed. That's you too. You're getting it too. Like, yeah. They're like, okay, hold on. We'll call brigade. And so, battalion calls out brigade, and their brigade's like, yeah, we're tracking some freaking idiot. Tie it down, and now it's loose. You're like, what do you mean it's loose? No, it's loose. And so this thing it's filled with helium. So it's not like a hot air balloon, so eventually it'll cool down and come down on its own. No, it's filled with helium, so that means eventually it will go up until it reaches a certain atmosphere, and it will pop and then fall to the ground, and that multi-million-dollar cluster of satellite feed cameras will impact with the ground and explode.
Yep.
Yeah, but still you can't like leave that. Like, even if there's any solid pieces left and some bad guys get a hold of that could be very bad. So that means you have to spin up a convoy and chase this thing all across the Iraqi country.
Send the warning order. Send the warning order. Get the guys split up.
We got a Frago.
Hey,
what's
the op? What's the op? Chase the blimp. Wait,
yeah, so
what?
it was just like I spun up 2 gun trucks, like I jump in one, and so every company yes, exactly, right? Yes, this is beautiful America the beautiful, right? So
oh my God.
We spin up, like every company throws in like 2 gun trucks. So there's like 16 gun trucks. Yeah, the terrorists did it. So it's like 16 gun trucks, and we just go burning down the highway like as fast as the slowest vehicle will go. So we're going like 75 miles an hour, and a bunch of MRAPs and up armored Humvees just like flying. This is like circa 2010, right? Just burning through like Iraqi police checkpoints trying to like wave us down because you're supposed to have Iraqi army or Iraqi police escorts. We ain't got fucking time for that, man. We're talking about millions of dollars of equipment we trying to chase down. Like, and this, like I said, it's hauling and it's got a head start. Like 60 some odd miles an hour, because you can see how fast, like it has a miles per hour gauge in the GPS. Yep. We're like, oh man, that was a strong we're just freaking burning. So just trying to catch up. And so finally, it hits a certain, like it made it so high you could see the curvature of the earth. Like it was in space.
Oh my God.
You could see the curvature of the earth, and like, I mean, it was a beautiful shot. It was really yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We have to dumb it down. An MRAP is a really big Tonka truck with armor.
Yeah.
That people fit inside.
Mine resistant, ambush protected vehicle.
Yeah. So like when a bomb goes off underneath the MRAP, it's designed that the blast should go outward at a trajectory and protect everyone. Humvee is the really big fucking Jeep looking thing that is in all the movies now that we used to drive around, that was never designed to be up armored, but hey, Army can fuck shit up and let's just put everything on it. So
yeah. And those engines love to overheat and stuff because they're not intended to have that much weight on them. But whatever, we do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Drive it till the wheels fall off, as they say. So, but yeah, like I said, we're flying down the road. Finally, this thing makes it up into the upper atmosphere. The balloon pops.
Oh no.
And it comes down. And when it comes down, it lands in like the Euphrates. So yeah.
I mean, normally you don't want to see footage of that figuring out. Like, oh yeah, this is toy design. And then the bomb that proves them wrong is the bomb where guys are inside and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. And of course, like, hey bro, here, hold your leg. This is my leg? Oh. Oh yeah. There's a cool sensation flowing through my body right now.
Oh, that's just you losing all your blood. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, totally. Do you feel anything? Just emotional trauma that taxes as theft. Like, oh, he'll be all right. Like, right now. Okay.
That'll never pass. That feeling stays. But so, yeah.
What movie was it where the guy comes out of a coma and they're like, they're trying to, oh man, how long was I out? We have a woman president. What? I forget what movie that was. Oh my God.
Oh. Yeah,
so it landed in handing your leg to the Veteran Association. What percentage does this give me? 10%, bro.
Yeah, 10%, man.
Wait, do you have both legs with you? Oh, just one? Yeah, that's just 10.
Yeah, it's not service connected.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm on orders. 24. Never mind. No.
But yeah, so this thing goes right into the Euphrates. And it's still, I mean, if you're going that fast, when you hit water, it's like hitting concrete, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's still explodes.
I can just see the sparkles of the glass.
Yeah,
all the optics.
Glass and steel just like rainbowing out. Yeah. But the problem is now it's in the water, and you know how dirty those rivers are.
Yep.
So, and we obviously don't have like scuba equipment or anything like that. And there's no easy place to like park next to the Euphrates.
Every time Brian tries to make a joke about America, he's like, oh, wait, that's true? Wait, you guys really have XYZ? Yes. oh, I'm writing this so dark. Like this would never happen in my fantasy story. No, that happens every day.
Yeah, that's real. Your
We just don't talk
satire,
about that publicly.
yeah, your satire is factual. But yeah, so it shatters into like thousands of pieces, and we still have to go get it.
Yep. Oh
So
my
like
god.
we're like waist deep in this dirty ass
Oh.
Grady's River, trying to like, kick around to feel pieces of metal and glass and reach down and pick them out and stuff like that. And like that mud just like
Yep.
sucking your boot, like trying to pull your boots off every second. Man, it was like a solid 4 or 5 days of just like
And
rotating people through. Like, your turn to go get stinky, because that mud and water just smells like shit. So,
but here's the thing, man. Every time like this happens, correct me if I'm wrong. Why not just shoot the thing before it takes off and just pop?
dude, okay, all right. So true story. They tried to shoot it down. They sent an Apache after it, right? But whenever the Apache, so all right, you know how like different layers of the battle space, you're only allowed
Yep.
to have aircraft at certain spaces.
Yep.
By by the time the Apache got in the air and was within range, it was too high. And so, like, it was like, okay, now we need like an F-15 or an F-16 to shoot it down, and there was none anywhere nearby, and like the Apache couldn't break a
The
certain
barrier. Yeah.
yeah, that ceiling, because now he's in the airspace that the F-15, F-16s go in. So, or the F-18s, I'm sorry, because we had the Super Hornets and the F-16s at the time.
So
But
yeah,
anyway,
16s air, 18s are. Oh yeah, yeah. So for Brian, the F-16 is a small fighter aircraft for the Air Force. The F-18 is a small fighter aircraft in the Navy inventory. The way you can tell them apart is that 18 has two tail fins that stick straight up, and the F-16 just has one solid tail fin.
yeah, and that was that's like the only close air support that we had in like
Ooh.
2018. That was fixed wing. I mean, we had tons of helicopter support, air support,
Right, right.
during that time frame.
Okay, so now that we're 32 minutes into our stream,
Okay.
yeah, now we can get started because we got that. So, Michael, when you and I were talking, man, and we were doing our feedback, you were telling me about your Army career a little bit. But the part I remember you tell me about really specifically was when you said, dude, I was 17. My wife and I, we were just starting out and we were really struggling. We were having some hardships. And for me, being a prior first sergeant, I'm like, yo, 17 in the Army, there's a piece of paper that needs to be signed by some parental's consent to get into the Army. So I'm really curious if you wouldn't mind, like, give us a snapshot, man. Like, where'd you grow up? What was your life like? And then what was your desire to get into the military? And how did that all kind of play out?
So for me, I knew that I always wanted to join the military. Like that was always something that I wanted to do. So in the Army, you can do what's called a split up program. So whenever you're 17 years old, you can join the Army as a junior in high school.
Okay.
And then during your junior and senior year, you go to basic training, and then you come back, finish your senior year of high school, and then once you graduate and you have your high school diploma, you go to your AIT, and then you go on to your duty station. Right. So that's what I did. But so while I was in basic training, is whenever my oldest was born. Because like my wife and I started very young. Like I said, I was 17 whenever my oldest was born, and I was 19 when my middle child was born. And my wife, she's like 18 months older than I am.
Okay.
But so
Look,
she
you don't have to justify it. We get it. She robbed the cradle. She grabbed you and just.
Yes, I must say, I chased her. She would strangle me if I didn't say that. I chased her. But I may not look like it now, but I had a lot of game back in the day. All right. but yeah, I was the coolest guy in high school there for a little bit. Like,
Well, no shit.
I was a junior dating a freshman in college. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like I had it going on. But yeah, like we
Make way for Lord Head.
yeah.
Move, peasants, you unworthy swine.
Yeah, we had like I said, we had our oldest super young. But then I grew up in northern Missouri in a small town, and then after I graduated early. I graduated in like how you can, if you have enough credits you can graduate in like January. Major BJ and Lord Head.
Yeah.
And
Well,
just
that's the other thing too, is if Michael had ever become an officer, he could have been Major Head.
yeah, or Captain Head. That's a hell of a superhero. Oh man. Yep.
Anyway, okay.
Yes. But so yeah, so by the time so Katie, my middle child, she was born, and then it was like a week later I was in Iraq. So I was 19.
Holy cow.
I was 19. I was in Iraq. I made corporal shortly thereafter. So I was like leading convoys, as like assistant convoy commander. So I was lead gun truck, running, running missions through downtown Baghdad. Like at 19 years old.
Which was some of the good times too, because it's like, yo, well, correct me if I'm wrong, when you're the assistant convoy commander, you are the front.
Yeah.
Like you're the first guy there. So it's like, yo, he looks bad. Shoot.
Yeah.
The lawyers haven't gotten in Iraq yet. We can do this shit.
Yeah. That was like 0405 time frame. So my first deployment was super long. Because I was there like 040506. It was like 17 and a half months, I think, roundabouts.
Uncle Dave, are you two totally sober? Yes.
Yes,
we are.
I'm drinking vitamin water.
Yeah.
So I was an active duty unit, and we were supposed to be replaced by a National Guard unit, and they failed NTC. They failed their certification to replace us. So they had to reset and retry before they could come and replace us. So we ended up getting what was supposed to be a 15-month deployment. They tacked on like an extra 2.5 months because we were waiting for our replacements to unfuck themselves, to put it bluntly, and come out and replace us. But anyway, they finally did. And then we went home, and I got tore up pretty bad on that first deployment. Like, I had gotten blown up 3 times. I'd already been struck by lightning by that point.
Now, are you talking real lightning, or is that like a term for something else?
No, like I actually got struck by lightning.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah. My company name is Lucky Lightning for a reason. But yeah, and then and I got shot in the back. And then so I had a lot of recovery to do. Like I didn't know it at the time, but I had taken shrapnel through the palm of my hand, and when it had gone through it had come out. I don't know. It's probably hard to see in this camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not going to be able to see it. But
I mean, we know you don't have an OnlyFans just based off your camera, so I mean, we're not going to see those details.
But yeah, the like it's probably hard to see, but I have a scar here.
But there are too many misunderstandings. You know what? Now we have someone else for you to co-author with JD Glasscock and Lord Head. Guest starring Major BJ.
Oh man. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see it if the light hits it just right. There's like an indentation right here.
Okay, yeah, I can't see that.
Yeah, that's because I've had 4 surgeries to keep this hand. Because I almost had this. So when the shrapnel went in my palm and it came out the side of my wrist over here. And when it went through, it tore up all the connective tissue. Erotica anthology confirmed.
This is a weird type of military erotica.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it tore up a bunch of stuff in my hand, and I didn't know it. I just was like, I just pushed through. You know what I mean? I was, when you're
So
19.
are you talking like you were healed up in their perspective, like, hey, you're good, you're patched, you can go back, and that's when you started feeling those effects of it, and that's when you're starting to connect, like, oh shit, that's not right. That's what
Yeah,
you're talking about? Okay.
yeah. I was like, it always ached. It was always hurting. Oh, Ryan's here.
Ryan.
Like my arm would always ache. It would always hurt, and I would never know why. And especially when I would pull things, pushing it was fine, but like doing push ups, because the Army PT test at the time was push ups, sit ups, and the 2 mile run. I
Yep.
had no problems doing that. But like anytime I had to grab something and pull on it, I would always, oh man, it would just hurt for days. Um, and then finally, it was like I went through 2 more deployments. I got blown up another time. I got stabbed one time. Like, um, had another kid. Changed MOSs. Like I changed jobs 5 different times. I have 5 different MOSs in the Army. I speak 7 different languages. All did a whole bunch of cool guy stuff. Um, but then whenever I was an instructor out at the Defense Language Institute in California,
Oh, dude, you're actually instructing out there?
yeah, I was a language instructor. I taught the Head Start program, which is
Dude,
funny.
I'm sorry, man.
Sergeant Head was the Head Start instructor. You
Well,
know?
dude, I went up there I think twice because I was down at Vandenberg just south of you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I remember when I went up there, I would drive on base to do whatever I needed to for getting the air side of the students, and I'm like, screw this place. There's nothing but hills. Like you
Uh-huh.
couldn't run in any direction
Yeah,
because it was
because
just
it's
a hill.
all uphill.
Somehow, no matter where you pointed, it was uphill.
Yes. The entire thing is built on the side of a hill. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
then there's also Ryan. So let's just did you need surgery to keep the hand because it's the I'm in the doghouse hand?
Yes. No.
You literally answered out of instinct and like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. No, so one of the big things that they like to do at DLI, because that's a joint base. They have there's a lot of Marines there, so they always have pull-up bars. And they were like, Sergeant Head, how many pull-ups can you do? And I was like, I don't know, like 100. You know. And they were like, no, you can't. I'm like, bet me. And they're like, all right, $20. And it was like 10 people that bet $20. So I'm like, well, now I'm about to do 100 pull-ups. So I jump up there, and I was like on number like 86. So
Oh my god.
I was gonna do it. I was like, I was in phenomenal shape. Like I had no doubt I could do it. But I was like at number 86 or 87, and then my wrist just let go. It just completely separated. And so I had to drop. And when I dropped, it looked like I had 2 elbows. This just completely folded.
Oh my
And so
god.
my arm was like, my hand was like dangling down here. It was like flopping down.
I'm just imagining Deadpool like
Yeah. Exactly.
everyone feared the T-Rex.
Yeah. And so I held it up, and I was like, and I like shook it, and it was like flopping around. And I was like, well, that's not good. And like 4 people immediately vomited. I was like, guys, I think I'm gonna have to go to the doctor. Yeah, this bad. And like it was like turning purple and red and like swelling up real big and stuff. And so like I had to go in for emergency surgery. Yeah. So I had to go in for emergency
Someone's
surgery.
got to go to the bathroom. Who
Yeah.
wants to help?
But yeah, so like I had to go in for emergency surgery to keep the hand, and then I had like they messed up that one. Yeah, I know, right? Well, that's what I did for like a decade, and then finally it caught up to me. But
Oh my god. Geneva said I missed the beginning. How many times has Michael nearly died? Well, he's telling us his life story, so at least 9 times.
I didn't even talk about the helicopter crash. But yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
Oh, Geneva, you need to watch the beginning of the stream though, because we're doing a Kickstarter campaign for a new Major BJ shirt. It's
Yes.
gonna be great.
Yeah. Major BJ meaning Major Brian J. Norden t-shirt.
Yeah, we're doing the Brian J. Norton T-shirt. We're all
Yeah,
gonna wear them at Dragon Con in Vegas.
yeah, it's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, and Jenna M. George says she wants one as well because Jenna is a rock star. I love
That's
my
at least
Jenna.
3 sales.
Yeah,
I've got 3 sales off the top. So,
off
but
the
yeah,
top, Michael head off the top.
yeah, but yeah.
See,
So Geneva's like, I'll help set it up.
hell yeah. uh,
No, I was not in the Apache that chased the blimp. No, I was. That was in Egypt.
he was dangling on by his wrist. I could do this.
Yeah, it was more of
Oh
a.
my gosh.
It was more of a controlled rough landing. But anyway, but yeah, the first surgery, it saved the hand, but it didn't fix anything. And then so then I had 3 more surgeries that they kept messing up. And finally, so like now I can't bend my wrist down. I can bend my fingers down, but the wrist itself won't bend down, and it only goes up about that far. Whereas normally you can bend,
Hey.
like that far. But yeah, but I can. Yeah, it doesn't bend anymore, and my palm is entirely numb. I can't feel anything.
So that's why I always see you kind of doing this.
Yeah, because it's
okay.
And it's that feeling when you get when you're like you have something that's asleep.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like
The
that all the
tingling.
time. Yeah, it's like that all the time for me.
So the funny thing is, I can completely relate to that. The tip of my thumb, all the way down the thumb line, and it will slowly burn and tingle all the way up my arm. I've had this since I was a kid, literally, and it irritates me. Like I want to like almost tickle it or scratch it or something. I finally was in Air Force up in Montana. The doc sent me to a specialist. He basically electrically shocked my arm for a good 20, 30 minutes. And he's like, yeah, you have a pinched nerve in your neck.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what it is. I was like, oh, okay. So at least, so of course I go back to my commander and I'm like, hey, this is what the doc, he's like, oh, you're sensitive. I'm like, no, that's not what he said, Major.
You
He's
have
like,
a pinched nerve.
yeah, so this nerve is basically firing like 4 times faster than all my other nerves or something because it's trying to figure out like what the fuck is going on in my neck, right? Where it's pinched. So that's what I told him. He's like, you're just sensitive. I'm like, God damn it, Major. Love you and I hate you. Good guy. Let's see here. The Brian Church should say Brian Norton, the voice that sank 1,000 ships. Honestly, I just want his face on my shirt. I mean, just
I wonder if we could sell more if it was like boxers. His face, like,
you just report right into Major BJ.
Just right on our junk. You know what I mean?
This is why we rated this stream M Military Manchild. That is exactly why. On the dating game panel at DragonCon. Yes.
That would be fantastic. Can I make a fake female account to like constantly hit on Brian while this is going on? But have it. I want it to make no sense the entire time.
Wait a minute. Why is there a dating game panel? Why can't we just auction Brian off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like have a dating auction. Like auction Brian for a date.
We're just skipping Geneva's comments and going straight to Brian's.
Oh man.
Oh, I skipped Geneva. Hold on. No, you as you on the panel. No, the panel is literally just auctioning off Brian for the night. That's all it is.
Yep. I would sign a contract for like 10 grand with Podium just so I could to write a book, like a one-off book. I have a great like superhero babysitter story. And then I would one-off like just write that one-off book, sell it to Podium just so I could win that auction and show up in drag to scare the living shit out of Brian.
I don't know why we're going down this route. Wait, who's doing his audio? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Is it Podium Tantor?
I
Look,
think it's Podium.
we already have the connections. So all we need to do is get an audio clip where as soon as you're done with the audiobook, it's hello, this is TJ Lombardi with Legion Publishers. If you would like to know more about Brian J. Norton, his phone number is ... His email address is ... He loves long walks on the beach. He loves to write a good bottle of wine on a Saturday night. Hell, every night. We should, yes, just the extended version, right?
Yeah. Like
Because
if
that's
they
what we
find
used to do in the day. Remember those old VHS dating things?
Oh yeah, that was a thing. I remember
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of serial killers killed people that way.
Well,
Yeah.
people can change. Oh, show Geneva the shirt. Well, I think she's already seen it. I know she has seen it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just for who needs to talk about books and writing?
Yeah. We're 50 minutes into this and we haven't talked about books yet.
We haven't talked about any book.
Yes.
We could request something instead of bloopers. Yes, absolutely. So yeah,
Oh man, that's such a glorious picture. Yeah. See, I'm kind of like maybe if we put it on, maybe if we have options, we could have t-shirt, boxers, boxer briefs, so that way they fit more snugly. For people that want a more snug fit.
I captain my captain. Honestly, maybe we should put a little bubble, like a audio caption, comic caption bubble of just the fuck you looking at, and that's it, and just put it right there out to the side. My eyes are look up for my eyes or something, like stop looking at my chest. Yeah, totally.
My eyes are up here.
Yeah, my eyes are up here. This is not where my eyes are.
Yeah.
Why didn't we just that for your author picture? Well, we didn't have it yet, but that's exactly why I made it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty.
There's still technically time. We can still change this.
Yeah.
Brian is too tall to pull off the Napoleon. It's not a Napoleon. It's a major BJ. That's what it is. Yes. Okay. So, anyways, that is our shirt. That's what we're going to be using for our shirt. So, okay, going back. Okay, so at what point then, as we're slowly getting into books, eventually we'll get there. At what point did your life kind of make that change of like getting out of the military and then like, hey, I want to write? Because it sounds like you never really started out as writing. Like that was never really in your thought process. But now here you are, 5-6 books into the process.
So yeah, I have 7 books written, about to be 8, and then I'm hoping by the end of this year I'll have 10 books written.
Damn.
Yeah, there's only there will be only 5 published with my name on the cover, but there'll be, like I said, there'll be more of them out, and then more are just sitting, as they say, in the can. Sitting in the can, just waiting to come out. But the biggest thing for me was after I got out of the military. So like I told you before, I broke my neck, and that ended my military career. So I actually recovered rather well from that. Like I still have problems with numbness, and like I said, I almost lost the hand. So I had to like prove that I could still shoot, that I could manipulate a weapon. Like I still shoot, eagle eye, still shoot expert, no problems with all kinds of weapon system. Like I'm master gunner certified, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, went through all that, all those courses, went to all the ranges, passed a PT test, everything. But the one thing I couldn't do was wear a Kevlar. I couldn't wear a helmet anymore. And so that makes me non-deployable. And at the time, this was 2017, the Army was like, hey, if you can't deploy, you got to get out. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm getting out then. So it was like December of 2017, they medically retired me.
So, okay, now correct me if I'm wrong. Because you're medically retired, you medically retire with the pay rate that you had at the point of retirement, but you cannot collect VA disability.
So yeah, so the way that I did it, since I got out at 15 years, as an E6, it was better for me to just take the VA disability.
Yep. Okay.
So I just so because I got 100%.
Okay. So nope. I'm glad you said that. Yes, because you could deny the one to get the other, whichever one benefited you as the member.
Yeah, I think since then it has actually changed. Now you can double dip. Um,
What?
yeah, I think you can double dip now. I think that's a thing. Um, but you could not whenever I got out, or at
Right.
least they did not let me whenever I got out. So, but I chose the 100% because it was like a good $600 a month more to get the 100%.
Yep.
So yeah, I got the 100%. I got 100% from the VA. Um, my wife was still active duty Army, so she's a combat medic in the Army. And so she ended up getting cancer.
Mm.
So she's okay now, though. She's fine. She's still kind of recovering. She has to walk with a cane now. But when she's got some other lingering issues, we're still dealing with, still trying to work through those things. But she also got 100% from the VA. So
Nice.
between the two of us both getting 100%, like that kind of made it to where we don't have to work as long as we're willing to live at a certain lifestyle.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? But like we wanted more. Um, we wanted, especially with still having kids at home. Like,
Mhm.
if you ever want to go on a vacation or do anything fun with your kids, like if you ever want to take your kids to Disney World, or you ever want to get them, help them get a car or something like that when they turn 16 or 18, you're going to have to work another job of some
Right.
kind. And so for me, I really enjoyed my time as a language instructor while I was at DLI. That was probably some of my best time in the military.
Yep.
Uh, I made instructor of the year twice.
Dang. Congrats, dude.
Thank you. So I was really good at it. I was a really good
Yeah,
instructor.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, like I know civilians don't get it. Like they don't
Right.
understand. Like you know, I'm kind of a badass. But anyway. but yeah, like
Well, I think no, that actually brings up a really great point. It really does for some understanding of the differences because ci- civilians look at that like, okay, and like, so what? And it's like, so what? Bitch, I could outwork this entire organization right now.
yeah. Like
And that's the hard part is like when veterans try to come back into the civilian workforce and the civilians just don't understand, like, yeah, I literally have run 30 programs. I can coordinate all these things. I have done all of these jobs single-handedly. So when I'm saying, hey, here's some improvements I can bring to the organization to make us more efficient or effective, and you say no, why would I stick around here?
yeah, yeah, it was well, and so to become a professor at a university, you have to have a PhD. It doesn't matter your
Yeah,
experience, right? And
right.
so I was going back to school to get my PhD, and that's when COVID hit.
Okay.
And so the department that I was aiming to work at, that department lost all funding
Oh
because of
shit.
COVID. So they informed me, and like I was in communication with the college I was aiming at. I was going to work for the Alamo colleges down in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah.
Um, and like they loved me. They were even going to try and work out this deal where like I was gonna uh, we were going to work out this deal where I was going to start working for them as soon as I had a master's.
Right.
And then as long as I was still taking classes to get my PhD, I could still work as like I would still be teaching, right? I
Mm,
just wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to get tenure or anything like that. But anyway,
right.
so but that entire department just basically collapsed because there weren't enough students, especially with COVID making it impossible for in-person classes. And so I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And so my wife was still active duty Army, and now she was working at the Brooke Army Medical Center there in San Antonio,
Yep.
which opened its doors to the civilian populace during COVID.
Okay. Yep.
So now she's not just dealing with military and veterans and Center for the Intrepid and the burn unit there, because that's the number one burn unit on the planet.
Yep.
Uh, Now she's dealing with COVID patients. So she was working like 16 to 20-hour days, 7 days a week. And she comes home to me, who's been bored to tears all day. And I'm like, oh, another human. Ha ha. And she's like, get away from me. You know? And so she was like, hey, why don't you, you always talked about, wanting to write a book. Why don't you finally do it? Now's your chance. Why don't you write that book? And I was like, you know what? Fine, I will. And so I got
So
about
did she say it in a loving, supportive way, or was it really like you hit her right as she came in the door and it was like, bitch, go write that book in your room and leave me alone?
I would say it started off loving and supporting, and then whenever I
Take
would
turn.
bother her instead of writing, it was like, get in your room, go write your book, But no, but no, I got about half a book done. I had about 50,000 words, and I was like passing it around to like friends and family, and having them read it, and they were like, hey, this is actually really good. You should see if a publisher would want this. And so I reached out to like the people that I thought were the biggest in the genre, which were at the time was Shadow Alley, Mountain Dell Press, and Tor. Um,
Oh, okay, yeah. Tor
so
wasn't really, they're not big into lit RPG, but at least fantasy, they're
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
biggest.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
and I didn't, I was brand new, so I didn't know. So I didn't know I really didn't have a shot with Tor. And Tor didn't, of course, didn't even answer me. Shadow Alley wasn't even really open for submissions, so they didn't really answer me either. But Mountain Dell Press has Dakota Kraut, who is also a veteran, right? And so him and I hit it off right off the bat. And The rest is history. Like he was like, yeah, man, this I really like your fight scenes. They're really well done. They're really well written, and you just need some you need to clean some stuff up. Like I didn't do dialogue tags well at the beginning. Like whenever a new speaker starts speaking, you need to start a new paragraph. You know what I mean? Or like
Mm.
if there's somebody talking and somebody else does an action and then that person starts talking again, that all needs to be separate paragraphs. Like I was not good at doing that in the beginning. I didn't know.
I
Um,
just don't do that. I'm like, screw it. The reader can figure it out.
well, if you were to ever publish with Mountaindale, they'd make you fix that. But but so I went in, I cleaned all that stuff up, I finished the first book, and the rest is history. Like it's
So Threads of Fate,
yeah,
that's the book that you started with, which is a
yes,
Western cultivation, not
yes,
a pure lit RPG. So for like, my some of my followers, whatever, Western cultivation is very much a fantasy genre. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, where there's magical energy within the world system that the person can pull from. And I normally say the easiest way to think of it for those who have never read the genre is think of like a Star Wars The Force. There's an energy around you and you can
yeah.
pull from it internally.
Yeah, that's like it's called cultivation because you cultivate the energy, right? Like you pull it into yourself, you make that
Mhm.
energy your own, and then that energy then makes you stronger so then you can do cool guy magical stuff. Some stuff that's very similar to it. Thank you, Brian. But
Oh,
yes,
there you go.
Brian. But yeah, the like cultivation would be like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Minjin Jim. Yes, yes, good old Brian. But yeah, the Avatar: The Last Airbender, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Dragon Ball Z, a lot of stuff like that. Those are all very cultivation esque styles. It has a lot to do with like the elements and finding ways to grow stronger, ways to improve yourself. A lot of it has a lot of Eastern lore, as in like dealing with the Tao, trying to find ways to improve yourself
I mean, I
through.
try to read the Dow all the time. It just goes up and down, and I never make money off of it.
Yes, Tao is in DAO instead
Oh
of.
shit, that's why I keep losing money.
But yeah, it's very. I guess it's more the uh, Buddhist kind of outlook.
Mm.
Um, Now, in my books, I do not really go into the Tao. I don't really focus on that aspect of cultivation. Mine is just more very strict energy focused. Yes. um, mine is very energy focused because I'm I like to focus on I'm focusing on the elements, and I like to incorporate a lot more westernized humor. And I almost make fun of the genre a bit. Like I poke fun at a lot of the tropes that you find in the cultivation genre. So people that have not read other cultivation books first, if they just come and read mine cold, there's some jokes that might go over their heads, but I feel like I did a good enough job at least describing them enough that they would realize that, hey, this is a joke of some kind, you know, like.
So you said that you like to play a lot of, or you like to write a lot of jokes regarding the tropes that would normally be seen in a cultivation book. So was that kind of why you focused on that as your first story series that you were writing, is because that's what you enjoyed reading, or did you kind of just fall into it accidentally?
So I was reading a lot of terribly translated cultivation books,
Okay.
like they were just horribly translated Eastern cultivation novels, and I mean, and some of them are like they have a
Oh, that's
lot.
right, because you have a different languages, so you can
Yeah,
read the natural or no, native language. Excuse me.
yeah. Well, so I actually I don't speak Mandarin. That's not one of my seven languages, but languages fascinate me. So it was
Okay.
kind of like I'm not really trying to teach myself, more as like trying to I guess give myself a primer on like what are the differences in syntax and morphology in the languages. And so that kind like that's how it started out, and then it turned into, hey, I actually kind of like these stories. Yeah, like the arrogant young master and face slapping, and yeah, like that's all. And like they very much look down on women a lot. And I mean, I'm a father of three girls, and I have a very strong wife. You know what I mean? Like she's freaking combat medic in the army. So like to me, I I think that there's no reason why you can't have a powerful female character. So like, and I have two very overpowered female sidekicks in the book in my books that are just as powerful as the male side characters. Um, and so, but anyway, like I've always I read those and I was like, I feel like I can do better. I can take what they have here and I can make this better. I can make this something that somebody would enjoy to read. And then after I was about three-fourths the way through reading or through writing the first Threads of Fate book, I discovered Cradle existed by Will White, and I was like, oh, well, damn, somebody else has already done this, and they are way better at it than I am. But I've already gone too far, so I must keep going.
Wait, this is the wrong village?
Yeah.
Shit. Well, we've only got 3 blocks left to blow up. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, keep going. But yeah, like I know that I am no Will White, right? Like to me, Cradle is like the pinnacle of Western cultivation novels. Like it's gonna always be the top. But I'm okay with being like number two, number three. Like if I can hover around that number, I'm okay with that. And also, Will White has a lot more books written than I do, and he has a master's degree in creative writing and like all this other stuff. So I'm just gonna keep plugging away at what I do, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. So, okay, so the wife is coming home. She's still working, and she's like, "Dude, just start writing this book." And you know, it sounds like a lot of us. We all started the same way, where it's like we don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna freaking do it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, as far as like being a military veteran. You've gone through so much stuff. How has writing necessarily helped you in dealing with some of those events, that trauma that you've gone through?
Well, so um, if you ever read Threads of Fate, you will read there's a lot of very very visceral combat. Like I feel like that's one of the things that makes my writing stand out is how much more realistic it is compared to a lot. Like I feel like that's one thing that I do even better than Cradle. Like Cradle is almost hand wavy with some of its combat. You know what I mean? Like um, it's not incredibly descriptive. It's like and like mine, like if it was to be made into a movie, it would definitely be rated R for violence and gore. Like that, like there's no doubt that it would be rated R because um I did not hold back. Like I used a lot of my real life experiences
Mm-hmm.
and like using all five senses and being able to tap into those memories and the things that I have been through and the things that I've seen and like using those things and even like I think anybody who's ever spent a long time in a war zone to stay sane, you have to learn how to disconnect your humanity a little bit.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like if you don't, you'll go crazy.
Yep.
And I mean, you've seen it. You've seen the people that can't. Those are the ones that do go crazy. And
Well, yeah, when your wrist is dangling, you're just like, ah, shit.
yeah,
Huh, huh, huh. Yeah, yeah, it's not like this normally. Normally
yeah,
it's a little more erect. Sorry. I'm not used to performance issues, but this one's a new one.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, well like whenever I got shot in the back, I was not like, "Oh no, I've been shot in the back." Like no, we got up and like there was still a kinetic engagement that went on for a hot
Mhm.
minute after that happened. Or like every single time I got blown up, there was not time for me to whine and cry about getting blown up. There was things that needed to go on afterwards, like
Well,
for a
that's a
long
part of the
time.
training.
Yeah.
And it really is, because I have had another buddy. He was blown up 3 times, and he's like, the first time I was woken up, and they're like, "Dude, are you okay?" And he's like, "Why are you asking me that?" Well, you kind of got blown up. I did. And then the second time, he remembers getting hit, and it was really weird for him because he still stayed conscious, but he had the tunnel vision, the audio, all the senses were just going haywire. And so after he came out of that, so by the time he got hit the third time, he's like, "Yep, been here before. Okay, oh, this hang in there, little guy. We'll be okay." And we're back.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's just it's crazy what you get used to, right? But yeah, that ability to kind of disconnect yourself from humanity. I don't want to say going like turning into a sociopath because you're not really a sociopath, right? Like you still have that knowledge of right and wrong and you don't do wrong. Like you're not out there committing war crimes. You know what I
Right.
mean? There are some people that go too far and do that. But like I don't feel like I write those kind of characters. You know what I mean? I'm not Stuart Gross, but like,
No, it's Brian.
yeah, yeah, and your sex tape, yeah, but
Thank
uh,
you, Major BJ. Sergeant
yes,
Lombardi reporting out.
yeah, but like so, um, like the characters that I write, like they kind of do the same thing because these are people that have been in combat for years, sometimes centuries. So like they have had to figure out a way to kind of dial back their humanity. And so they are a little heartless, maybe a lot heartless. They're not out there, killing innocents, but they're also not holding back. If there's an enemy, they're not going to suffer an enemy to live. And so a lot of people, if you read the comments and the reviews, they're like, finally an author that's not letting an enemy go. Like, they're treating them like you would in real life. And that's true. Like, I did not get shot at by an insurgent and be like, oh, I'll let him go. He didn't actually hit me, so I'm going to let him go. He'll be nice. He'll learn his lesson. No, if he shot at me and he missed, he's dead. Like,
Yeah. There's it's I mean,
like he
did
gets
you ever
cut back
read Grossman's On Combat or On Killing?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, you would probably love it. And granted, he's gotten some flack over the years where they believe like he was paid to have a certain skew on some of the data, but I'm like, dude, the data is still the data. And his whole thing is killology. Like, he was like, I created killology, the study of killing and some of the effects of it. And so yeah, there's a time where it's like, dude, well, you're not necessarily thinking about like, oh man, right, wrong, whatever. It's primal.
Yeah.
It's animalistic of like, you try to kill me, I don't care what's in between me and you, I'm going to go kill you now. I
Yep.
say, oh, but they're running away, they're not a combative target. Bitch, they're a combative target. He just fucking shot me. And guess what? If he lives today, he's going to try to do it tomorrow.
Yep. Or the next day, or the next day, or the next
Yeah.
day. Like, that's I mean, that's you don't suffer an enemy to live. That's I mean, eventually the rules of engagement changed as new presidents came into power and things happened. But especially for the first deployment, like, it was whenever things went kinetic, things stayed kinetic. That's how it worked. And so, um, like, my characters very much reflect that, and so I feel like a lot of readers really actually liked that. They were like, they felt it was more realistic,
Mm-hmm.
because honestly, it is more realistic, because if you were in that situation, that's how it really goes.
Right.
And so, like, as much as we want to be nice and kind and soft-hearted people, in a real combat situation, that's not how it works. And so that's the kind of characters that I write, and people really connected with that.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. There's that genuineness. And there's been times where even with writing, someone would read it and they're like, oh my gosh, dude, like, that's really gruesome. Like, how could you? I'm like, it's not happening to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm writing this shit, but it's like, well, that sucks. There's times, oh my gosh, did you see what happened? Well, it sucks to be them. It's not
Yeah.
happening to me.
Yeah.
Like,
These are fake people.
yeah.
they're on they're
Well,
on
even in real life, when people are like, oh my gosh, like, isn't this sad and terrible? Like, sucks to be them. Like, okay. I don't have, there's sometimes where I have empathy for those I care about. Everyone else, I'm like, yeah, no, we don't have a connection, bro. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, that sucks. Like, someone's in the path of the tornado. That's a part of life.
Yeah, that's the thing about life. It ends.
Okay, so let's go to some, yeah, right? Like, dude, I'll tell you some jokes about, yeah, I'll tell you some jokes here in a second. Actually, remind me, we'll do it in the after show, so it's not recorded. Cradle and Silver Fox and The Western Hero, but I will say storyline plays an even bigger part in my opinion, and your take was really great.
Well, thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. He's just not a fan of really big hairy men. Shame, really. Okay. So Geneva, rated R just because of the violence committed by a horse.
Oh yes, I have a homicidal horse in my book. Which, by the way, I got so much flack for having a homicidal horse in my books, which is obviously by people that have never spent time around horses.
Horses can be assholes, bro.
Oh, horses are total jerks. Like, people don't understand. Horses are like dogs, right? Like, dogs have the intelligence level of like about like a 4 to a 6-year-old, right? Which means, like, think about your average 4 to 6-year-old. Like, they can do evil, crazy shit. Like, they will burn your house down. Don't let them get a box of matches. Like, there are horses. Whenever I was growing up, we had a horse that staged a a revolt of the goats. Like it helped break the goats out. So the goats could get into the front yard and just tear everything up and eat all the peaches off the peach trees. And
Oh my
my
god.
poor grandma was out there chasing goats with the little cut down baseball bat. And like, I mean, it was crazy. Like, all because of this one asshole horse. And yeah, like, I'm
Well,
telling you,
that's where, yeah,
horses
no,
are jerks.
yeah. Okay, so Brian wants to know, speaking of visceral writing, Michael, why do you hate bears? What did they ever do to you?
Brian, are you aware that if a bear met you, it would freaking eat you? It would rip your face off and eat you. And not only that, bears are one of the only creatures that would eat you while you're still alive. They don't kill you and then eat you. They eat you while you are still alive.
Well, sharks too.
Yeah, sharks.
What's
Well,
really funny is like we're talking about military stuff. The thing that's getting you most triggered is animals. You know, what do you think about horses? Those fuckers. Oh, let me tell you about horses. Them and their stupid big ass necks. They can never wear a gold chain. Like, wow. Okay.
yeah,
And
but
then for
like,
some reason you just hate bears. Like, yeah, bears fuck those things. They're
no,
definitely
actually,
not a teddy bear.
yeah, I like bears. Bears are great, but also bears are bears. They are wild animals that will kill you and eat you if given half a chance.
Okay, so Brian says, I remember having a conversation with Michael about scenes that I couldn't understand the motive of the main character. And he was like, oh, you sweet civilian child raises a soft hearted hand.
It's totally true. So Ryan was one of my, or Brian was one of my beta readers as well,
Yep.
and he was like, "Why would he do this?" And I was like, "Brian, he tried to kill him. Do you not remember this?" And he was like, "Yeah, but that was forever ago." He shouldn't even be alive, Brian. He's lucky to be alive.
Yep.
Like, like, uh, yeah, but still, he's being mean to him. He's being mean to him because he tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's where, so in my first series, The Dying Breed, there's what was funny is my Brazilian translator, he was like, hey, so Mala. I was like, yeah, that's his name. I was like, yeah, Mala, the tiger. Okay, so that's his name. I was like, yeah, why? Why is that a problem? Well, it's not necessarily a problem, but there's a certain part of Brazil that uses mala as like a slang term. And I was like, okay, well, you know, what's the slang term? Well, mala would mean like asshole. I'm like, perfect. It's stain because that's all mala is. And the whole, like, throughout the books, Mala just keeps calling Liam the C word.
nice.
And he just beats. And so my development editor, when he were starting, he starts out, he's like, dude, I love Mala. Mala's great. I'm like, and then he gets later into the book and he's like, what is his problem? Why won't he stop? And I'm like, yes, exactly. And it's based off of a tech sergeant, E6, who
Uh-huh.
was in the Air Force with me, who, if you were outside his circle, he was an asshole. Straight up, he cussed out the major and hung up on him. Like, he didn't give a shit, right? Cussed out the EA so much that like the major called and he's like, you know, so here's the call coming in. Oh, it's the commander. Hey, sir. Hey, Dave. How's it going? Oh, just another day. Handing out vehicles. Da da da. Okay, well, that's good. So I'm gonna need you to not cuss out my chief and hang out. Dead serious. Well, you know, maybe he shouldn't be fucking wrong on all this shit. Who is this guy? So of course Dave was an asshole to me until I started working for him. But once I was in that circle, it was like, bro, he was one of the best NCOs I had
Uh-huh.
ever seen in my career. So that's where I was like, yes, this character is an asshole. This character is gonna beat the shit out of Liam for 4 books straight, and then you'll see why.
Uh-huh. I
So
love
yeah,
it.
I get it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and
So oh, go ahead.
yeah, I would say that makes characters so much more genuine whenever you're able to attach them to real world people and concepts. You know what I mean? Like, I really like that.
Well, I mean, there was a little bit of Mal in there too, because when I was, probably as you know, when you're an instructor, you have students, it's like, oh, you're going to learn this lesson. You are not going to do this again. And so one of my torture devices is I used to take them on a quarter mile of lunges.
Ooh, good
And
one.
I would normally do it on like a Wednesday or a Friday so that the entire weekend going up and down the stairs of the dormitory, they're just suffering.
It's just awful.
I was to the point I could do a half mile of lunges every day and not feel it.
Uh-huh.
So I would, of course, do the lap with them. I would then go back to the last airman, continue to do lunges until every single airman passed. I'm like, all right, did you learn your lesson? And so of course it got to the point where someone screwed up. They're like, shit, when's our next PT day? Tomorrow. I'm like, oh yes, tomorrow your asses are mine. And I would just make we did, I think my max was 7 minutes of planking straight. And so of course I'm like, all right, planks. And I would just plank with them the whole time. I'm like, what? I'm doing it too. Okay, now we're gonna go do lunges. And they're just like, oh my God, I'm never messing with security forces. And I'm like, bro, the worst couch potatoes. I'm just this crazy fucker. Like,
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
what,
you want them to learn those lessons.
yes. And it's fun. It's fun.
So as far as your writing now, like like you said, you're 7, 8, you're about to hit 10. What are some of the bigger things that you've come to really realize in your writing, like tips, tricks, lessons learned, words of encouragement for those that are always thinking about, man, I've got that story in my head. I should probably write it down.
Well, so one thing that I know people have probably heard this before, but like write the story that you want to read. That
Mm-hmm.
is, to me, that's so huge because first off, you're gonna have to read it yourself like a good 20 times. You know, like between all the editing passes and the formatting passes and everything else, you're gonna have to read your own story a whole bunch. So you better want to read it yourself. But also, you are going to be shocked at how many other people want to read it as well, right? And another thing is,
I'm
do
still
your
looking for those people, but
yeah.
yes.
Another thing is do your research. Like, it kills me when I go on places like Royal Road and I see an amazing story idea, right? Like killer story idea, and they're writing it in present tense. And it's like, why are you hamstringing yourself? Right? If you look, like, do your research into the genre. And by that, I mean you need to be a reader. Before I started writing my first book, I had already read about 100 books in the genre I was going to write in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And like, I'm not saying you need to read 100, but you need to read at least like 20. And another thing is look at what's popular, right? So look at the 20 best-selling books in your genre. Like, what are the 20 most popular? And see what they all have in common, right? And so if you look at the 20 best-selling books in LitRPG and Cultivation, what do they all have in common? Well, it's about 60-40 first, like 60% are third person perspective, 40% are first person. So that's not quite, I mean, we have a slight leaning towards third person, but 100% of them are past tense. In fact, the only present tense successful story in the last 25 years that I can even find anywhere is Hunger Games. That's it. There are no successful present tense stories besides one in the past 25 years, quarter of a century. So stop writing stories in present tense. And that's just a simple example of understanding what's popular in your genre. If you're a romance author, know and understand what readers expect in the romance genre. If you're a lit RPG author, okay, you know right now VR is going out of style, right? But all these things come in phases. So just because VR is going out of style right now doesn't mean it's not going to come back in style in another 2 or 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not. It's just because, and also just because it's going out of style does not mean it's dead,
Right.
right? Like VGO, Viridian Gate Online, which is probably one of the best selling trapped in a video game stories, or or another one is oh, I can't remember. It's I can remember what the cover looks like. It's got a big hammer on it. Um, I can't remember the name of it. It's like Journey to the North or something like that. It's another one where it's a guy, he builds a clan, and so it deals with both real world and the video game world.
Okay.
Um, that one still has over like 1,500 reviews on it. So like just because it's not hyper popular does not mean that VR is not unpopular. It's just not as popular as others. You just have to find the reason why VR became unpopular is because people felt like it didn't have stakes that matter, right?
Mm,
So like you have to figure out what makes the stakes matter to the real world, right? Like
right.
what makes death have consequences? Because
What? Yeah, exactly. What is that big terrifying thing that you don't want to have to face?
yeah, like if you make death have consequences again, um, then all of a sudden, even if it's a VR, okay, now it matters. Now people will still want to read it. Um, and so, like, just by understanding what's popular in your genre, by understanding like the types of mistakes that can hamstring you right off the top. Like Tower Climber. How popular is Tower Climber right now? Well, Tower Climber's on the rise. Wargate's on the rise. The VR stories are on the decline. What has been the most popular for the last 5 years and has steady stayed at the top? That'd be post-apocalyptic. System change stories, those are relatively new and they are rapidly like super gaining in popularity. So like if you can see these things, if you have a great story idea that you think would stand out, pick it, grab it, and run with it.
Mhm.
Like that's what you familiar but different, right? That's what makes you stand out.
Yeah. Ryan, I agree with this advice. Reading hundreds of lit RPG has done nothing but make me more confident in writing stat blocks and what makes good one and bad ones.
Yep.
And what Brian, I don't like the military people I've befriended. They're all fitness instructors and low key terrifying. Dude,
Thanks, Brian.
so did Michael, did you ever do arm rotations?
Yeah.
You extend out, you do arm circles, arm rotations.
Yep.
I would do a 4 count, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, all the way up to about 150, 200. And then I would make my guys drop down and do push-ups instantly afterwards. They still to this day, 10 years later, I have students reach out to me and they're like, you bastard.
So I would do so we had the overhead arm clap, right? Where you have them out
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 3, 1, 1. So on Sergeant Head PT day, right? Because the instructors would rotate. So
Yep.
my days either the way the rotation worked, it was either on Mondays or Fridays. And so if it was Fridays, I always did upper body. If it was Mondays, I always did lower body. And so yeah. Yes, Brian. So, Brian, it's not Academy story. Yours is a slice of life story. Slice of life is very much on the rise. So you will be just
Slice
fine.
of life within an academy.
Yes. Yeah, but no, any slice of life story is hugely on the rise. But yeah, so I would do that to 500, right?
Nice.
We would that to 500, and then we would do what's called the sergeant head push up, which is where you go down and you only do one push up, but that one push up takes 15 minutes. So you go halfway down, lean to the left, lean
Yep.
to the right, back to the middle, 1/4, 3/4, halfway, lean to the left, lean to the right, one
Yep.
quarter, lean to the left, lean to the right, back to the middle, halfway, like, and just do that for 15 minutes straight. And after they just did 500 overhead arm claps, right? And then and then they'd just be dying, right? And like, okay, now we got to do the sergeant head sit up. So you
Oh
go back. So
no.
now their upper body is fried, right? And so they've got to keep your fingers interlocked behind your head, and you've got to do the sit up. That's 15 minutes, right? And it's the same deal. So you got to go halfway up, lean to the left, lean to the right, and so the abs actually weren't even that bad because their arms and shoulders were
Yeah.
just shaking like, oh god.
You have all of this muscle that's contracting and pulling, and now you're forcing it to be out and extended.
Uh-huh. I
Oh
was
man, the
I was
body physiology, I love it. My favorite workout is 12-ounce curls, puts beer to lips. Well, that was the other funny thing too. I was like, you're not really an E6 unless you point, but you point with a coffee mug or something like. You go do that. You, yeah, you go do that. Okay, good job. You never point with your hand. It's always with the mug
Uh-huh.
or the beverage that you're carrying.
Yep.
Um, so no, dude, that's such great advice. And here's the interesting thing too. I was literally thinking about Wandering Warrior today when I was doing some shopping, and I loved the fact because I've been working on this third series idea, something for me to jump into and have fun with. But what I loved with Wandering Warrior was you don't start out in the beginning. And that was where some of the time, as I was thinking about this while shopping, I'm like, that's so awesome to where it's like, you know what? Well, how did this world happen? How did this? You don't know. You don't get to know. All you know is shit's going down right now. Boom, there it is. Then that's where you start. And it's like you can still have creativity. You don't always have to start with here's how it was, here's how it happened. It's like, dude, I have no idea, but all of a sudden they're fighting a T-Rex that's dressed like a unicorn or something like that, like
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, and like I said, familiar but different, right? Like you have to find a way to stand out from your peers.
right,
And how do you do that? How do you find a way to stand out to where people will say, "Hey, this is different from everybody else," but it's still familiar enough that they say, "Oh, I like this because it reminds me of this," or "Hey, this meets my expectations as a reader."
right.
Right? And so, and a lot of that even comes up in like story formatting, right? So like everybody uses Save the Cat. Disney uses Save the Cat. Marvel uses Save the Cat. Every single person uses Save the Cat. Why? Why do we use Save the Cat?
I
We
don't use Save the Cat, so please tell me.
we use Save the Cat because the human condition has steered the subconscious into wanting the hero to win in a certain way, right? We want the human to win, or we want the hero to win, but we don't want the win to come easy, right? We want to win, but we want the hero to struggle. And we
Yep.
want that struggle to come in a certain way,
Yep.
right? Think about one of the most powerful movements, one of the most powerful moments in a movie that somebody could that like my kids' generation that they're going to remember for the longest time is whenever Captain America is standing in front of Thanos and he's holding his broken shield in one hand and he's got Mjolnir in the other, and behind him a whole bunch of those rings open up and all these heroes come pouring through, right? And so in Save the Cat, in that format, that is the hero at the mercy of the villain. And then it's so the hero faces defeat, right? So he's standing and he knows he's gonna die, right? So Captain America knows he's gonna die, but he's gonna face death on his feet, right? Because that's Captain America. That's what he does. And then right at the last second, everybody comes pouring through, right? And so like
So
there's the
Brian's gonna counter you, or he's gonna add in. Sounds like you're talking more about the hero's journey rather than Save the Cat. Save the
well,
Cat was more about how each story follows a set trope, like dude with a problem.
so hero's journey is inside Save the Cat.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So like
Because Save the Cat, you would say, is like the bigger umbrella that kind of is like, hey, here's the understanding, and then within the umbrella, you can choose those tropes and make sure you follow it.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so like uh so um so whenever and then so now all these heroes are taking their turns fighting, right? So then they lose again, right? Like everybody's about to lose. Like all the female, there's the bit with all the female characters that get to fight, and they're kicking ass. But then Thanos is still like he still ekes out a win. Like the villain is still going to win, and then Iron Man he shows up. Thanos looks like he's going to win. He's going up. He does the snap, but Iron Man pulls the okey doke. I am Iron Man. He does the snap, and the hero's sacrifice, right? And so, like, once again, save the cat, hero's journey, whatever. Like, he does the snap, and like by sacrificing himself, he saves humankind, kills Thanos, all this other stuff, right? Like, that powerful moment is going to stick out in the minds of that generation of kids that watch that movie forever, right? Like,
well, it's one of the only scenes that they even ever use for advertising and marketing is that scene.
Yeah. And like, it's, there's memes and all kinds of shit that came out of that. But like my kids, like, if I bring that up, my oldest will tear up. Like, because when, like, the moment when Iron Man sacrifices himself, right? Like, these are made up characters, right? They're not real. Like, Robert Downey Jr. is just fine.
Yeah.
Like he's in other movies. He's been in other movies since then. But Iron Man, this imaginary character, sacrificed himself for half of mankind. And there was this hugely powerful moment, right? And the human condition, human psychology loves that. So if you are an author and you're not using that trick, I don't want to, I mean, it's weird to call it a trick, but that's what it is. It's a trick.
Well, it's really a template. It helps you lay out things. But it was funny as you bring up an Endgame, right? That was what it was.
I think so, yeah.
So I was talking to a cosplayer about this who's really into Marvel and everything else. And I was like, here's how you know that shit is fake. They all wound up in the same place. Let's be real. If this was real life, it would be like, boom, fuck, how do we get to Michigan?
Yeah.
You're sure this is where Thanos wants us to take over? Is this fucking... Yeah. And then, of course, the other Avengers, poof, why are we in Alabama?
Yeah.
Where's Thanos? Michigan? Shit, we should have taken a right turn when we hit the moon. Yeah. And then, of course, like, and then they would never show up on time.
No,
right?
Yeah,
like they would show the circles would appear like 30 minutes after Thanos killed everyone. Da. They knew we were a 30. Did we sync watches?
Yeah. Wait a minute. What time zone was this supposed to be?
Yeah. Right. And of course they would show up in like Nevada. Bum fucking.
It's totally true. It's totally true.
Do we have a map? Who's got a... No one grabbed a map. We just knew. We just knew. And we're coming from different... Okay. Yeah.
Dimensions and planets and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, like as an author, like, you have to, like, our competition is not other authors. Right? Like, you are not my competition. Brian's not my competition. Like, Will White.
I am definitely no one's competition.
Yeah,
like let's just make that clear.
Like, our competition is Netflix, is Disney, is
yes,
television, movies, video games. Those are our competitors, our true competitors, because we are not fighting one another. We are fighting for time. We're fighting for readers' time. That's what we're after, right? Because readers are already only like 20% of the population. So you have to try and zap in on that 20% of the time, or 20% of the population, and then give them a reason why they want to read your book instead of watching TV or playing video games or going to the movies or doing something else, right? So, and then the hope is, and really it's not just the hope, it's what happens. Is that if they read your book and they enjoy it, they'll go pick up somebody else's book because they'll say, hey, I had such a good time reading this book. Let me go read a different book. Right. So that's why you want other authors to succeed, because if they succeed and their books are awesome, then readers will go pick up everybody else's books. And that's why, 20 Books and other people have this saying where a rising tide raises all ships. Well, for authors, that's actually real. Yep. That's a real thing. So that's why, like, whenever authors come to me, and even editors and beta readers, they come to me and they're like, hey, what's your advice? Like, yeah, I am more than willing to take the time to give people advice, because the better we are as a group, the better sales are going to be for everyone. So
And here's my thing too. Like I'm definitely starting this is I want Christmas 2023 to be book Christmas. And what I mean by that is if there is a gift I am buying someone, it's going to be a book. Period. And because it's like, dude, we are just as part of the problem where it's like, I'm sorry, your kids need an iPhone every year. Your kids need a new Xbox every year. Or whatever the technology is, it's like let's get to the point where we start making books the gifts that we give people to be like, dude, this is an awesome journey. Here you go.
yep. Or
And that's
I think you can gift Kindle Unlimited subscriptions now,
yeah, yeah.
or Audible
Um
subscriptions, or whatever, or Audible purchases.
Alan Craig, I came here to chew bubble gum and disrupt the chat. I'm all out of bubble gum. Ryan said, what about OPMC? While they have struggled, they don't really lose most of the time.
Okay, so the thing with it, so I write OPMCs, right?
Hey, LTJ. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
So the thing about an overpowered main character, right? I write overpowered main characters. That's my shtick, right? Is that
You definitely did in your most recent one.
yeah, right? But like so they have to be overpowered, but they're only overpowered for their power level, right? Like in my new book,
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes
yeah,
sense.
right? So like in my newest one, Wandering Warrior.
You should, Alan.
Yeah,
Seriously,
thanks,
man.
Alan.
This
Yeah.
guy is awesome.
So my newest one that's coming out August 8th, Wandering Warrior. Um so he's the most powerful human probably on any planet that he goes to, because he's maxed out the system, right? He's had 20 years, he's maxed out this system, he's like a badass warrior and stuff like that. But the most powerful human is still not as powerful as the most powerful lich, or the
Right.
most powerful like elder vampire, right? Or the most powerful Wendigo, right? Like those are the like it's kind of like, if you think about it like this, like the world's most powerful house cat will still get his ass kicked by a polar bear.
Right. It's like that's still a polar bear.
Yeah. Right? Or like, so if you have a super overpowered main character that maybe is the most powerful thing on the planet, um what if they need to save someone, but if they use their powers, they would kill the person they're trying to save? So now they have to use their brains instead of their powers. So like this is like you have to, it's a balancing act, right? And so like in Threads of Fate, my main character Jim, he is probably the most powerful cultivator at his level. And he can even punch above his weight class. But if he ever runs across, say, like somebody who's king or emperor level, whenever he's a saint or a sage level, he's going to get squashed like a bug. That's why whenever he does run across somebody who's a king level, he never comes alone, or like he never puts himself in a situation where like he confronts a king, but he has blackmail. He's like, hey, you could kill me, but if you do, your secrets will get out, right? And this secret will create a lot of political problems for you, so it's not worth it to kill me. Right. So like, but if anybody else at his level tries to fight him, he's going to crush them. And so like, it's like you have to play as an author, you have to figure out how do you play these balancing games to be able to write an overpowered main character, but not to just let them, Mary Sue their way through an entire book series.
So now, Michael, that's a great question then, because I haven't read your other books. Obviously, I've only read your most recent one coming out August 8th. Everyone better freaking buy it. Do it. It's awesome. Um, Brian is cutting in. Also, OPMCs can win in fights, but might lose in many other facets. What if their mentality isn't as strong as their powers? If they doubt themselves, if they need to learn the best method to utilize their strengths. So that was actually kind of tying into what I was about to get to.
Absolutely.
With your other books and characters, do you also have that side character that may not be as equal, but there's that kind of the gauge, the barometer to understand like, oh, okay, so this is where this level is, this is this level, so now I can have a better reality of if I was down here, here's how I would see it. I'm up here with the MC, here's how he sees it. Do you have that kind of a measurement system? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's um I do and I don't. I have it where it's more like through flashback kind of style.
Okay. Is a
Yeah,
unique type.
exactly, Alan. Yeah. Like you like it can be done. Writing an OPMC can be done. It's it's usually more like by looking back at his past life or like monologuing like, oh, I remember what this was like the first time, because my in Threads of Fate he's a reincarnator, right? Like he was he at 650 years old, he gets thrown back into his 10-year-old body and he has to redo, um he has to fix the mistakes of his first life, right? So that's what Threads of Fate is about.
Okay.
um so like he accidentally ends the world, like
Oh
he just
shit.
yeah he
That's like some
destroys.
Umbrella Academy. We're gonna save the world. Shit.
Yeah, yeah, kind of, yeah. But like, so like in Threads of Fate, the very beginning of book one, like in chapter one, he destroys the world, and so he in chapter two or three, or chapter two is him talking with the gods, and chapter three he starts off, he's sent back in time to his 10-year-old body, and so
Hmm.
and like another a fun part that I did, so like he's got the memories of the 650-year-old, but he's in the body of a 10-year-old. So like, does he is he the 10-year-old or is he the 650-year-old? So like he has to deal, he still has the hormones and the emotions as he grows of this teenager, right?
Right.
Like so like he's dealing with these thoughts and emotions of a child, of a kid growing up, you know, as a teenager, as a young adult, as he's growing up. um and so like people, it always frustrates me when people leave comments and reviews. They're like, he's making, you know, he's doing and saying things like he's supposed to be 650 years old, but he's doing things like he's a child. Like he yeah, exactly. That's one of, it's one of the jokes. He's that, like, it's a running joke that he's going through puberty a second time, and it's just the worst. Like,
Right. Well,
but like,
that's the interesting part too is, I would like when we talk about the military, if we were to go back to basic training today, oh, dude, we would fuck shit up and just have fun.
yeah,
So now you're back in this human form. Like you would still have some of these things of like, oh man, now I'm twice the asshole because I'm back in a young body.
yeah. And so, and I played around with that a lot. Like, actually, that was like part of the fun of writing that character, was like the tips and tricks and the things that he could do. But at the same time, there's still the struggle of like he's still a 10-year-old, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like he still has like these urges, like he still misses his parents, you know what I mean? Like, like I still kind of want to see I miss my mom and dad, you know what I mean? Like that is not something that a 650-year-old should feel, but since he's in the body of a 10-year-old, he still has those emotions, you know what I mean? And so like it's something that you have to, like, as the author, I felt like I had to walk that tightrope, that fine line of figuring out where he was at. And it was frustrating to me when people were like, oh, he should only act like this 650-year-old. No, he's I need to be able to explore both sides of that, because is he, like I said, is he just a 650-year-old in a 10-year-old's body, or is he a 10-year-old that has memories of a 650-year-old? Well, he's both. So I have to be able to express both sides of that. And so like that was a really fun aspect of writing Threads. And most people got that. Most people picked up. But there were some people that were like, this is stupid, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, come on, man.
Well, I was about to say, Alan wanted to make sure to remind you, hey, I'm back. Enjoy your 1-star reviews.
Thank you, Alan.
I have a question. So you know the fireworks thing?
Uh-huh.
It says do not. Yeah, it just says that. But what does it mean by 1A?
Is it another printer issue?
No, it's a 1 amp outlet.
What is that?
So it just means, so your wall plug-in, you just don't want to use like a fast charger.
Okay.
Okay?
So like the. Okay.
Yeah, you should be fine.
I don't have anything to plug it in because it has a USB port.
Okay, so Yeah, just use like a regular USB. Like the ones that we were talking about getting would be fine. Just don't throw that away, okay?
I know, but like,
yeah,
I don't have a block to put it in. That way, I can charge it in somewhere else.
okay, I got you. But yeah, we'll figure it out.
Do we have any?
Sounds good, Uncle Dave. Have a great night. I'll try to give you a call here later this week. So take care. All right. So Brian said the world state that he's immersed in is going to be a huge culture shock for. Oh, sorry, you still got the kid.
There's a white one. There's a white block that we have somewhere that you should be able to use.
Where?
I have no idea where it is.
Then I can't use it.
Yeah, you'll have to find it. It was plugged in over there before. Okay, yes, go ahead.
That one was from Aspen.
Oh, okay. I thought it was ours.
From my AirPods.
Okay, I thought that was ours. Then never mind.
No, it is ours now.
Okay, well then, yeah, you should be able to use that. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm
It's called Aspen.
Yeah.
All right. So Brian said the world state that he's immersed in is going to be a huge culture shock for him. So you have culture shock, right? Because of the different change. You have puberty as a chemical imbalance with hormones that he won't have control over. So he totally gets it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, like it's a lot of fun. And not only that, if you've lived for 650 years, you're not going to have the sharpest memories of what happened when you were 10. That was 640 years ago. So like you know,
you're lucky. My wife just throws things at me when I'm streaming.
Yeah. That was my 12-year-old. She's like asking me questions. Yeah. This is my youngest. But anyway, yeah, like the oh.
So Alan, just so you make sure Alan is
Oh, your mic is crazy.
Mine is?
Yeah, your mic is crazy. Try it now. Oh yeah, it's still crazy.
It's still crazy.
Yeah.
I totally like it.
Did it like switch?
Oh,
How about now? Is it good now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Dude,
It switched to your headset, didn't it?
It switched to something because it's like, bro, this guy is going way too much. And it also did it on Alan's thing. I went on a fucking rant on one of his streams. And he was like, bro, you just broke your wish.com microphone. I was like, yes, I did. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
See,
so those that don't know,
this is what happens when you laugh, you piece of shit.
So those that don't know, I did a live with Brian once, and to mess with him, I had an entire Thanksgiving dinner prepared.
Because every like stream that Michael had up to that point, Brian had seen him with food, like some kind of food, like chicken or something. And so that's where they planned it all out so that Michael would have a Thanksgiving meal just all laid out.
Just to mess with Brian.
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't have a Thanksgiving meal, but we have the second best thing that you can devour, which is that.
Which I still think would look fantastic on a pair of boxers.
I mean, boxers or t-shirt, man. We got to make it happen.
Yep, boxers and t-shirt.
You know, we could do the whole gift set. Get something for dad this holiday season. Get Major BJ.
It's so good.
We could, do the whole, what was it, Colin Farrell? Like, if you don't get the Jack Hall 3000, then fuck you. If you don't get a Major BJ, then fuck you.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I don't understand how I don't lose more friends and followers with my streams. They're like, just like I don't want to listen to this with TJ anymore. Wow. An ugly Christmas sweater? Yes, that's the next thing. T-shirt, boxers, and ugly Christmas sweater.
Yep.
Oh, and Alan, just so you know, so that Major BJ, Major Brian Norton, his book just dropped, paperback just dropped yesterday.
and then the Kindle book is dropping Tuesday.
Yeah,
Awesome book, dude. This book is killer. Quest Academy Silver.
Yeah, Quest Academy Silvers. It is
Silvers. Yep.
probably the best slice of life / academy book I've ever read. In my
Yes.
opinion. Like
Hands down, man.
Yeah, it is so good. Oh man.
I don't like you specified just after we boosted his book, and here comes Brian in with the hate mail. Alan, I don't like you specified ugly. Alan, you should totally buy Brian's book. Bring him on your podcast. Put him out to your audience. And Brian comes in, fuck you.
Oh man, I love it.
Oh, hold on. That needs to be on a beer bottle, so at the bar I can say, yeah, I'll just have a BJ. Have to send me the links. I've got a stack to be read at the moment. Yep.
I get it.
Okay, that's a high praise. Thank you all so much. That's right. You better be more grateful.
Yeah, Brian.
It's really highlighting me as an asshole. I'm so glad you stayed up for this, seeing as how it is currently like 3 a.m. for you.
I know, right? Poor Brian. I mean,
oh no, don't pour Brian in.
I don't feel that bad for him, but
he's an adult. He made this decision on his own.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so what else can we talk about, man? Okay, so you had read a lot of LitRPG.
Mm-hmm.
But Threads of Fate is not an actual LitRPG. It's a Western cultivation, which is different. So Wandering Warrior LitRPG, was it pretty easy for you to come up with your LitRPG system and how you're going to do your stats? Or did you just decide, hey, I kind of want to take a little bit lighter feel, not as much crunch? Like, how did you figure out the balance of bringing this in your way?
So I've been heavily involved.
Oh, it's coming, buddy. It's freaking coming. Hell yeah.
I've been heavily involved with a project with Dakota Kraut called Year of the Sword. It has 3 books out right now. Lord January, Lady February, and Dokeshi March. And with Dokeshi March, I got editor credit. And then with June for April and Tycoon May, those are already written. We need to write. Him and I are co-authoring the rest of them together. We need to write Morte June, and then we're going to release the summer trilogy together because they're done by seasons. So
okay.
The spring trilogy is done. We need to finish the summer trilogy, and those will be released. So those are very crunch heavy, right? And that has a very strict. So Dakota has very strict lit RPG elements. Like he's very system heavy, and like his system is like spreadsheets upon spreadsheets and like all kinds of stuff. Yeah, no, the sun's not up where I am. It's dark here. I just have a lamp.
Yeah, that's some mood dragging.
It's 10 p.m. for me. I'm in Central Time, but yeah, like it's very precise. Like you have to track like everything that happens in those books. I have to track and plug into the spreadsheets as I'm writing, right? And so whereas in my Threads of Fate, I track nothing, right? So so I basically I had the 2 extremes, and so I was like, I want something not as extreme as Year of the Sword, but I feel like I still want to have something for Wandering Warrior. So I went very, very middle of the road. So it does have stats. It does have a system. It's just not nearly as it's not the focus of the story. Like the system matters, but it is not the end all be all. Like it's a part of the story instead of the driving force of the story.
Well, that's really true because you started at, max level. Hey, you've accomplished everything. Great job. Oh, okay.
Yes, exactly. Like that's like I don't. because he is max level, I don't have to track experience or anything like that. Like he's already like, it doesn't matter what kills or percentages or anything like that he gets. Like that's
I feel
it.
like the easy button we should do for you is literally put your book photo there, put the Staples easy button, like, oh, lit RPG, bam, that was easy.
Yeah.
Max level 50, baby.
Yeah. But like so the thing that makes this one kind of stand out, like, you know, familiar but different, is the title system. Right?
Right, yes.
Like
I liked what you did with it too. No, not to do spoilers, but I like what you did there.
Yeah, like that. So he has titles, and titles provide bonuses, and he has to earn the titles through different actions and activities and things that he does. And most of the titles are passives, but some of them have active effects, and most of those active effects have a cooldown. So he has to be smart about when he uses them. And also he has like the gear and equipment that he uses and picks up, like that, those have stats as well. So like that matters too, because he has an identify spell that gives the stats on the equipment and things like that. So there are stats that matter as far as that goes. And like I said,
Right.
the title system is very important. But and he does figure out there are other things that he can change and upgrade as time goes on as well. But as far as the way that the system is supposed to work, that is done. That is over with.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what would be some, where do you feel like you've seen the most growth as an author now that, oh wait, hold on, Brian wants to talk.
Uh-oh.
Another cool component is that each new world that he goes to has a completely different reaction to his abilities. Magic works differently in each world, so that there's always learning.
Yeah, that is
Another
true.
spoiler. Yeah.
Yes, that is kind of a spoiler. But so yeah. So each world has a different match. So he's been to 20 different worlds. Some worlds have systems, some worlds don't. So on every world he's been on, but no world has his system. So he has his own system independent.
That's one of the first times I've ever seen a comment like that. Man, I wish I didn't have that many subscribers.
He's 4 short from 800, man. He just needs 4 more.
Sure, you know what? Everyone, go follow Alan. But the bigger thing is go irritate Alan. He loves it. He is dying for more attention. Please go on there and start spamming him up.
Oh goodness. But yeah, the what were we talking about?
The world changing and learning.
Oh yeah. So like with every world, the magic doesn't always work the same. Physics isn't always the same. Like maybe say perhaps gunpowder may not always function properly in each world. So, you know, like he has to change and adjust his fighting style based on the different worlds he lands in. And so I've kind of set that up in a way that I could write in that world forever if I wanted to, like for as long as I live.
Well, worlds.
Yeah, worlds. Yeah, like every world he lands in could be a completely different story. You know, or it is a completely different story because it's a completely different magic system. But
I actually have an idea too. After I got done reading Wandering Warrior, I had an idea. I was like, oh, this could be good too. So I'll tell you that behind the scenes.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
But yeah, let's say I think the thing that I've grown the most at is being able to grow characters organically, like within the story, like letting side characters shine, letting the characters act the way that they would naturally instead of the way that the outline tells them to act, if that makes sense. Like whenever I first started writing Threads of Fate, I had an outline and I tried to make sure that my characters followed it, and I did for most of the first book. And then by the second book, the outline was more of a rough guide. By the third book, it was just there. And by the fourth book, it was like it was only there for the beats. You know what I mean? Like, and now whenever I do an outline, it's just like I need to make sure these things happen before the end of the book.
So Okay, so I completely understand. Hold on. You're also very good at hitting beats and keeping your word count tight. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's that comes with practice as well, because you will begin to subconsciously be able to control and almost feel where you're at in the story. Um, and it's almost like you have this inner voice that tells you, hey, I need a fight scene here, or hey, I need the characters to cool down here, or hey,
Mhm.
I need more dialogue. And you can just, it's like a sixth sense that tells you you need to, it just needs to feel like you just feel where it belongs
Yep.
in the story.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Shit, where was I going with that? Fuck. I
You said,
completely lost my train of. Oh, so yeah. So when I started the Dying Breed, it was like storyboarded to hell. I knew exactly everything, right? Well, I was then basically told by my one or two friends, like, dude, you just got to start writing. Stop storyboarding, start writing. So I started writing. I didn't finish the storyboard to the series. But then I got to the point where I was like, okay, like I know those points, I know what I need to hit, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Boom. Then, of course, Brian, little jerk, told me, hey, you need to write a lit RPG story. I want it now because I want to read it. To which he has never read it. And I just finished book 2 in it.
of course.
So now I'm starting to work on this third series, and I'm just like, and so Ryan Maxwell and I we're working on this collaboration right now, right? We're trying to see how we do this stuff, and how we're building it. And so like he's asking me questions like, hey, what about this? What about this? And I'm like, man, I'll figure it out. we'll just go for it, man. Like that. Let's not worry about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some things where it's just in your head. You just get it, and you're like, okay, yep, it's out there. I know I'm going to go chase it, and I'll get to it.
Yeah. Like so much of it, the more you do, you just, it just organically comes. You know what I mean? Like it'll just grow.
Yep.
Like the characters, well, once the characters become more fleshed out and they become more real in your own mind, they will slowly guide you to where it needs to be. As long as you, like, to me, the most important part is you need to know the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Yep.
And once you have those bits, once you know how the story is going to start, how it's going to end, and what it needs to look like whenever you're hit about the midpoint, every other piece, whenever you're passing through there and you're hitting all those beats, and you are and you're passing everything through, that's just gonna come naturally as the more practice you get.
Yep. And that's why I think I would tell a lot of people just do it. Like if you're thinking of writing, stop thinking about it, stop studying it, stop reading it, researching it, just do it because you're going to learn along the way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, because I just talked about this at my end of week feedback thing, where I think a lot of people think if I study something, I'm going to gain the confidence. And it's like, no, you only gain the confidence by doing it.
Yep. OJT, on the job training.
Yep. Hell yes.
Yeah, that's the best teacher, is on the job training. And you know what? I've talked to so many authors that are like, "Hey, I wrote a whole book that will never see the light of day because it is absolute garbage." Because they by the time they finished their first book, they realized this is terrible. And so then they start a new book, and then that's the one that's good enough to see the light of day.
Yes.
And and it sucks because you have so much time invested in that first book. But you know what? Another thing is, if they were willing to put in the time and money to get a good developmental editor, they could polish that turd till it shined. You know what I mean? They could go back and they could fix that first book and get it to the point to where it could be publishable. Because one of the things that they always talk about in writing circles is great is the enemy of good, or perfect is the enemy of good enough.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like just
I wrote a Christian fantasy that was so bad God flooded my house just to kill the PC the book was on.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Hey God, look at what I'm doing. Oh my gosh, don't you love this? And no.
He saved you from yourself.
At the same time, sometimes when you try to polish a turd, you just get shit on your hands.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. That's true.
here's the thing though, because like it's one of those things. Toaster starts floating towards the altar.
Oh, damn.
And that was one of the things too that like I love the Dying Breed. I love the Dying Breed. I love the world. I love the characters. I love writing it. But it was one of those things where I was like, I finally got to the point of like, TJ, that is probably not going to be the book series that other people love though. You may love it and you wrote it, but it may not be the story that people really relate to or connect with or whatever, but it was the story that taught you the skills or that got you to the next level to write the next story that those people are going to love and really find you on.
So, it doesn't even connect to music. And I can't even hang it up.
Okay, well, kiddo, it probably does it have an audio connector where you can hear it? It hears music?
Like right here. And
Yeah.
even then, it
Great
doesn't.
words, Alan. Thanks, brother.
Okay.
We'll see you later. Thanks for tuning in, Alan. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, okay, well,
Doesn't connect to music and doesn't do what it's supposed to. And it doesn't even stay up on the wall. And
Okay.
these things come out way too easily.
okay. Well, I guess we'll just write that one off then as a failure, okay?
Can I just throw it away?
Yeah, just throw it away.
That's what I've said about my life, too. And my career. Well, I guess we're just going to write those 16 years off as a failure.
Yeah. But no, it's I get it, man. Like sometimes if it's just not working, I mean, what is that called? The sunken cost fallacy?
Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, like where if you've sunken so much into this, you just keep putting more and more into it because you just feel like you have to keep putting into it because you've already done so much.
Mm-hmm.
But all you're really doing is costing yourself more. Like sometimes it's just best to just stand up and walk away and invest your time and energy into something else. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess, it's one of those things, like I said, like
Tomorrow I'll be
I need to stand up.
the accident things.
We'll see.
I need to stand up and walk away. You need to walk away from what that was, but you're not walking away from the experience you gained and from the lessons you've learned. So take all of that, move on to the next one. Yep. And that's why, like, when I hung out or drove Tim Raines, and he's like, dude, I tell guys all the time, your career, man, it's years. It's not one season. Yeah, you may not have been an all-star. You may have struck out. You may not have got a home run. You may not have da-da-da-da-da. But, dude, if you're in this, you've got 13, 14, 20 seasons in the league. You had a bad season. That doesn't mean you're going to have a bad career.
Well, so look at being an author like this.
It's like every organization that spent too much money on a stupid system that they had to use it to justify the cost.
Yeah. So look at it like this, right? So you have if you are an author and success, you're sitting down at a poker table, right? For every book you write is another card in your hand, right? And so the more cards that you hold in your hand, the better opportunity that you have to have a winning hand. But if you never write the books, you're never going to have a winning hand. And eventually there's 52 cards in a deck. Eventually you're going to be able to write that winning. You're going to be able to have that winning hand.
Yep.
Right? You're going to find it. You're going to get it. And then once you do, the chips will start flowing in.
Right. Well, and that's true too. But I literally just fried a microchip in my brain trying to speak. It's also, you can look at things of, well, this story, I really loved the uniqueness of the characters, or I love this part. In this story, I love the humor that I hit on. I love, this romantic connection I was able to establish. And so there's those things like, yeah, when you have those different cards, you can be proud of, here's all the different things I accomplished too. And then when you find that story that really connects, it's just like, boom, there you go. But I think that's why like 20 bucks to 50K of that one book that the person finds, and then they see, oh my gosh, he's got 10 other books. Well, I loved this book. Let's see what else he's got to share with me.
Yep, whale readers.
Yeah. Brian, I think writing feels way more like the Dunning-Kruger effect. I got this. I'm the fucking best. Oh my fucking God. What have I done? This is awful. I guess it's all right.
Yeah.
I think maybe mine is reverse.
Yeah.
I guess it's all right. This is awful. What have I done? Fucking, oh my fucking God. I'm the fucking best. I got this. And then I just go right back to the beginning again. I OODA loop in reverse, then Dunning-Kruger effect.
Oh man.
Each book published is a +5 to luck. When you eventually get to a certain number of books, you end up getting rich through your unbelievable luck. You know,
Yeah.
that's another great way to look at it.
Yeah. And so like I know how lucky I was that my first series like was a hit. You know what I mean? Like that's like get struck by lightning levels of lucky.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, and I mean I've been struck by lightning. So, you know, for me it makes sense. But like another thing is like you just have to keep going. And I mean like it's possible that this series I have going out that I have coming up is not going to be as successful as Threads of Fate was. And if that's true, then so be it. I mean, I'm contracted for a trilogy, so I will finish that trilogy and then I will go right back to Threads of Fate and until and then I will try again for another trilogy. And and I'll just keep rotating on that cycle. And there's going to be enough people that will still read it, that it'll still be enough that I can keep doing this. You know what I
Your
mean?
name is going to continue to be rotated up in that range.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so like you just got to keep going. Like that's the thing. Like one of my good friends, his I won't say his name because I don't know if he want me throwing his name out there. But he just got an amazing book deal. Like I'm talking high six figures, not low, high six figures. He has been writing for a couple of decades, not one, but over 2 decades. He's been writing books. He's got like over 60 books to his name. And he has never had he's barely been making enough to scrape by this entire time. Like he's made enough to write full time, but he's never made enough.
Gotten a nest egg.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's made enough to keep going, and that is it. And then he just so happened to just hit it right at the right time. And I mean, just boom, he exploded. And it took him over 20 years. It took him like 26 years of just plugging away. But now that he's done it, I mean, he's on cloud 9. He's top of the world. And I mean, he has, at this point, no worries, no concerns whatsoever. Because
and think about that too. Like, what if he had given up at year 5 or year 7 or year 13 or 15? Nope, he kept going. He kept writing. And then at 21 years, boom.
Yep. He hit the big time. And I mean, it is big time. And now that he's gotten one of those contracts, he can get another.
Right.
You know,
well, it's kind of like, it's like that tier system of like, once you get here, like, yo, I've already gotten this. I'm not going to accept less than this. And if you've proven yourself, it's like, okay, guess what? I know my value now. I've seen the sales numbers. I know my followers, whatever it is.
Yep.
So
time to do it again.
Brian, I think your success, Michael, has been the karmic scales readjusted. We really need to give this guy a break.
Yeah.
Brian coming in. From what I know of Michael's life, it's just a story repeated of unbelievable luck. He must have a high luck stat.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely not his looks, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's fair.
I mean, we're putting Brian's face on a t-shirt, not Mike's. So
oh man, did you hear about the calendar idea?
Well, I also pitched that to Jez and Geneva after my live. So I guess you must have pitched it like right before I did. But I was like, dude, like, why not? Why not do a calendar and have your guys' stuff on there? That'd be cool.
Yeah, mine involves Brian and I in a Speedo wrestling each other over a turkey.
That's the November.
Yeah,
image.
the November scene. Yeah, I think it's going to be a bestseller. I really do. I think it's going to be great.
It's gonna be something. Do you remember when Magpul came out with those calendars? The bikini clad gun toting calendars?
I think so. Yeah, forever ago.
Yeah, like it was like 2012.
Yeah.
So I had one in my office. I was an NCO in charge of the equipment section. It was on the back side of the door. So of course you couldn't see it unless the door was all the way closed, right?
Uh-huh.
And the acting first sergeant comes in, and it's literally like right when the Air Force is like, hey, so we found some bad material. Everyone needs to clean your work centers and blah, blah, blah. And so he's coming in, he closes the door. He's like, hey, man. And he's talking about that whole topic. Oh, yeah, I don't think we have a problem. And he turns around, and there's the calendar just sitting right there. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it down. Once again, I would like to stress that none of this has been approved by me. Their survival show, too. It's in the fine print of your contract. That's like when you think mom is not around and you're like, you know what? No. Da-da-da. And mom is literally right behind you like, I know.
Oh, man. Yeah, so the survival show idea is that so I, grew up and know a lot of survival stuff and learned. Yeah, Geneva, I'm always watching.
Sorry about 11:15 last night then. Don't worry, I've put the sheep back where it belongs.
Oh, damn.
It's a great time.
Oh, man. Brian, say nothing. So the survival thing, right? Like, wash your socks. So I know a lot of survival stuff, right? Like time in the Army, time even before the Army. And we had this great idea where I could take Brian out into the woods and show him survival stuff. And, like all I need is like 550 cord, some duct tape, belt and boots, and I can live in the woods for months. And Brian is like, this is a horrible idea. I hate everything about it. And we're like, okay, but at the end of every episode, we like walk out of the woods and you figure out that it's just like this tiny little cluster of trees. And we were like right next to like a bar, and we just walk into the bar and sit down and have a beer at the end of every episode.
Totally Bear Grylls it like, oh, I'm out here in the wilderness. It's so harsh. There's a McDonald's like right across the street that you don't see.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna eat this raw liver. Do we get the shark? Okay, cool. What a fucking joke.
Oh man, but yeah,
we should totally do an author game show of like, remember Legends of the Hidden Temple on Nickelodeon?
Hell yeah.
Or like Global Guts, like, yo, if you don't write this paragraph in less than 10 seconds, you're gonna get slimed.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
It's actually scary. I've been thinking, I'll write that later. And Geneva will message me right as I think that.
Geneva has superpowers.
Yeah.
Remember that superhero babysitter story that I was telling you about?
The superhero babysitter story?
Yeah. So I have this. It's like a kid's story kind of thing where it's like the diary of a superhero, a babysitter for superheroes, and they have a superhero power, but their power is just to be invincible, right? Like that's it. They can't fly, they can't run super fast. They're just impervious to all damage. And so their only real job that they can do is just watch other superheroes.
Oh my god.
Babies. right? Because all these kids have powers and like they're doing crazy shit all the time, and so like they can handle the kids. And I was like, what needs to be the name for the main character? And I was like, Geneva. That's it. That's gonna. That's who it's gonna be. The main character's name is gonna be Geneva. So,
Oh my god.
yep, I've got it.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yep, I have it. It's gonna be like it's only gonna be like 50,000 words or so. But yeah,
What's the main protagonist or antagonist child going to be named? Brian?
yeah, that's a great idea.
It's called The Nanny, and it starred Hulkin. The Geneva intervention. Well, it's just like, do you remember, dude, one of my favorite movies of all time, Sergeant Bilko?
Oh, I love that movie. It's fantastic.
Yeah, like, we should run a daycare. The motto will be, they won't die. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. The Geneva Intervention.
Yeah, it'll be great. But yeah, no, it's like, I mean, it's it's written as a comedy where it's just like it's written as like you're reading their diary, and each diary log is just like the crazy shit the kids got up to that day. And like there's little subtle notes that like there's these the kids keep telling the babysitter that there's these people watching them, and they don't take them seriously because they think it's just people noticing the kids getting up to their crazy antics. But really it's like, foreshadowing that there's this group that's going to try and kidnap the kids to hold to make the superheroes do things for them. And then at the end of the book, the babysitter gets the kids to work together to fight off the bad guys, normal.
So here's the only problem. You're literally doing the same thing NCOs do to junior E's, where it's like, yeah, look, so this one time, blah, 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 blah. Shit, I just gave you an idea. And all the kids that you're reading this kid story to, you're literally training them to be child terrorists to their parents. I'm gonna go shit in my mom and dad's bed. No. Where'd you get this idea? Well, it's in Mike's book.
Somebody's got to do it. No, I think
I'll put thumbtacks outside of mom and dad's bedroom door in the morning so they get Legos and thumbtacks in their feet.
Dude, my brother bought my oldest Legos when she was like 2, and not like the little kid Legos, like an adult set of Legos that had like 1,000 pieces, right? And then did not tell us that he bought her this. Like handed it to her when we were not around.
Yes.
And so then that way we were not aware it was in the house. And didn't open it for her. Just like it was in her room and we were not aware of it. And so then at some point she managed her little, like, I guess she was probably like 3. Her 3-year-old self, because she was too old.
Look, we've all seen The Boys on Amazon, Geneva. Okay, the superheroes are the super assholes.
Yeah, but yeah, she managed to open one of the bags of all these tiny little Lego pieces and spread it all down the hallway between her room and our room. And so Amanda at like 6 o'clock in the morning, exactly. Like at like 6 o'clock in the morning, she's going to go wake Rachel up for school, for preschool or whatever. And as she's walking down, I was getting ready for PT because you got PT at 6:30 every morning. I'm hearing, oh, what the, oh. So I come running out and I run right into it, like, what the shit? And like it's crazy because like we did not have Legos in our house, so it's like, where did these come from? Like we don't you don't expect it,
right?
It's like if you had Legos in your house, it's one thing, but if there were no Legos in your house and now magically there are Legos in your house, and now you're stepping on them at 6 o'clock in the morning before the sun was even up, that is a different.
That's a declaration of war.
That's a different kind of. You know what I mean? That's like.
And that's why Ryan says all kids are supervillains.
Yes, they are. All kids, especially toddlers, they are definitely supervillains.
See, I'm also like I'm an adopted uncle because I don't have any actual, nephews, nieces, or whatever. So I just adopt them. But I'm the one who would give them a drum set. I am totally that uncle of being like, oh yeah, give me a week with a little one while you go on vacation and just find out what will happen. I don't need a retirement system when I can have them a Tama Rockstar drum set with zildjian cymbals that will wake the neighborhood. Because that's where even my mom is like, you should set up your drum set again. I'm like, why? We've already pissed off the 2 neighbors. You want me to piss off the whole neighborhood? Like, come on.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Because once you're a drummer, like you really can't just play anywhere. And of course, people are like, oh, yeah, just get a digital set. Like, yeah, a $3,000 digital set, because that's the equivalent of what my $1,000 acoustic set is.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. So instead, I just write, just bang on the keys as same thing as I bang on the cymbals.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question I have for you. Do you find that musical talent has any type of connection to writing talent, to writing creativity?
Any kind of musical talent, I would say one of the things that I would look at is it help. I could see a connection creativity, because especially if you're listening to music and you're like, oh, dude, I love Linkin Park vocals, but what if I took Linkin Park vocals, added them to Kelly Clarkson pop, but then I bring in a country guitar with this old school Mongolian throat music, and so you learn how to blend things together to bring in your own voice, to bring in your own sound. It can correlate over to where you're like, wait a minute, I really want a deep, dark mystery. I want this thriller. I want this suspense. I want this love story, to where the person thought they were going to go find their lover and spend a weekend with them, but they're not there. Why are they not there? What is now going on? Why is the power not working? Boom, boom, boom. And so you can really have the same type of creative energy. I think a lot of it is just funneling it. So that's the first connection I would think of off the bat.
So for me, so I played alto sax, tenor sax, a little bit of the piano, a little bit of guitar. For me, I can't do any of that anymore with my hand. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, I find that whenever I listen to music for a little bit, like if I find that my creativity, my creative juices are slowing down, and I start listening to music, like my creativity will ramp back up again.
It depends for me.
Okay.
Because like in book 2 with Project Monmouth, well, book 1 and 2, I have a music playlist. And actually because of the neurochip, the main character is like, neurochip, play Fight Song by Marilyn Manson. And then he goes into a bar and just destroys the bar. Like just completely obliterates everyone. So that's where I've ripped the songs, and I plan to actually make the playlist on like a Rumble. So it's like, hey, if you've never heard the song and you just need a place to go find it and listen to it, you can just go to the playlist and listen directly through there. But yeah, there's times where the music amps me up. There's other times where it just totally distracts me, and I'm like, fuck, I need to get back into this scene and do this.
Yeah, I totally get that. There's a couple bands I can't listen to and write at the same time because I'm like too into the music. Like there was one time it was what was the name of the song? It was the name of the song is Boilermaker by Royal something. I can't remember the name of the band right now, but I remember the song. The name of the song is Boilermaker. So I was like, I'm writing this fight scene, and then I start writing the lyrics of the song, and because I was so wrapped up in the song and I'm like, stop it, brain! I had to like go back and delete.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I can't listen to that song while I'm writing.
I'm hugely jealous of musical people. I can't understand it and haven't a note in my body. Love listening to it though for writing. Here's the thing with at least drums. So I'm in a musical family. And what I mean by that was my dad grew up playing trumpet. My dad actually wrote a song that was copyrighted for trumpet, I believe, but he also went in and became a music teacher. So for music teacher, it was my brother learned saxophone. I learned trumpet, which was terrible. Then we did piano, then we did vocals, and then my brother went into guitars. I went into drums, but I was self-taught in drums. So it was really in my family bloodline. But the thing with the drums was I just kind of was like, well, that's cool. Like, man, that looks cool. I kind of like how that works. And just having your whole body get into it was one of those things where it forces you to focus. Like you can't just like granted you get to the point where you can play with your eyes closed. You have a stick fly off, you play one-handed, but you really have to focus your whole body. So I feel like that's why it was so great for me to learn the drums at such a kind of the puberty range, because it gave me something to focus all of that energy in on.
Yeah.
What's funny though is, have you seen the muted saxophone cones suits? Oh my god! To me, I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever. They make these entire apparatuses that you put on your body. It wraps around. It looks like one of those old school pregnancy suits, only it comes all the way up there. So you have your mouthpiece. It goes in and it encapsulates the entire saxophone. So you put your arms into this thing. You can't see your saxophone. It's completely encased in like this shell system, and you can play. You can play, and it muffles it, like it quiets the saxophone down by about 20 decibels. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
What?
But
why?
We need to bring this up. That's what we just need to do.
This sounds terrible.
I'm just like, why would anyone be so stupid to do this?
What is that? Just because you can doesn't mean you should?
Exactly, yes. Okay, let's see here. Boom. I'm glad I'm doing this off screen so that you guys don't actually see browser history before I share the screen.
Well, with that face of Brian on there, I'm sure there were some interesting things.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You know what? Instead of saxophone, cocoon, muffling device. Okay, here we go. There, you can read that for us while I look for this.
Yeah, I totally agree, Ryan. Like, there's Royal Blood. That's the name of the band. It's Boilermaker by Royal Blood. Anyway, yeah, like an artist that like truly feels their music is a completely different than somebody just like going through the motions. Same thing with an author that like truly feels their characters, like their characters are real to them. Like that's a completely different book than an author who's just going through the motions.
Okay.
It's why I think that AI will never replace humans as authors.
So I don't know if you can hear when I present the screen. I don't know. Geneva, where are you? Geneva, we need you. Mom, mommy, mom. Can you hear it?
No, I cannot. But what in the hell is this thing?
How do I get the audio to stream from the share screen over? That's what we need your help with, Mom. But yeah, that's it. You literally put your saxophone inside this thing, and you're just, I'm just gonna play. I'm just gonna play my muted saxophone.
This is horrifying.
Right?
Although it makes me think of a crazy monster.
Did the guy just put saxophone in a urinal? Oh.
No, this guy's all proud of it and stuff. You should not be proud of this, sir. You should not be proud of this at all. This is horrifying and a nightmare.
Yeah.
This is nightmare fuel.
That's yeah, man.
That's the worst.
I saw that. I was like, what in the world is going on? Well,
Kinda. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
we'll never know. We'll never know.
You saw what he did to that poor saxophone. That's horrible. He put a saxophone in a urinal and then put his mouth on it. Like,
Oh my gosh.
I'd hate to see what he would do to a goat. Like, what? I mean, what the hell? That's a demented human being.
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh. What else have we got? That used to be a goat. Do you see how he handles it? He handles it like it's his girlfriend. Just put your arms inside it and feel all up in there.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, just that's the secret to making it. Second time you've brought up goats. First time was with the peaches, and I didn't say anything. But if you say it again, Michael, you're going to need to tell the stories. Next up, tuba in a toilet, clarinet under a bathtub, Obi in a fridge.
Yes, an oboe in a fridge? Hell yeah. Yes, Brian, I hear you. Yeah, there's some rather horrifying goat stories. Horrifying.
I'm trying to think of some other good stories. Oh, what was it? Oh, so my buddy, so he was Army, he was in Kuwait with me, and then he went on to Afghanistan afterwards. But he was doing the PSD missions, picking up the high DVs from the airport, taking them to wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. He didn't like that the goat was fighting back, just wanted to make sweet, sweet music with it. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. Oh, that's like another good thing too. Like, it's a great. Who in the world ever thought you should take cat intestines, dry them out, and then put them underneath a snare drum and bang away? Like, what would make this drum better? Dried cat guts.
Yep.
Bleak to the beats.
Oh man.
Where were we? Oh, so yeah, so he. Fuck. Oh, so he was doing a live stream of him playing Call of Duty. Terrible at it. Dave, you were getting your ass kicked. You should just change games. But he was saying, hey man, I hope the books are going good. Like, it's totally something like the Army guys would love to read, And I was like, yeah, man, if they just take a second to stop drawing dicks on the urinals and actually read something for once, I might have some good sales. And of course he lost it because I was like, yeah, what do we do in the desert? We just draw dicks everywhere.
So, did you ever go to Iraq?
No, I volunteered for Iraq. I volunteered for a year in Iraq and a year in Afghanistan, supplementing the Army, and I got denied both times.
Oh, okay. So, that the same thing happened to Amanda, my wife. Yeah, she volunteered to go, and she never went. But the they needed her too much in the actual hospital. But yeah, there's a checkpoint. It's checkpoint 14 Alpha on Route Tampa on Highway 1 that somebody spray painted this huge, I mean, huge dick butt on it. You know what dick butt is, right? So it's a penis, right? So it's a giant penis, and then it's got and the balls look like a butt on the back of it, and then it's got another penis coming out of that. So it's dick butt. If you Google dick butt, I mean, I don't know what's going to come up.
Google dick butt.
Yeah.
And for those who come into the stream, again, this is why it's rated M for military man-child.
Yeah. But so, instead of cleaning that off or, apologizing to the Iraqi people or anything like that,
no.
that became, instead of checkpoint 14 Alpha, no, that just was checkpoint dick butt. Yep. So And and so it was that way in like 2005, and it was that way when I left in 2011. Like
God, yep.
the entire occupation, like checkpoint dick butt. Like we had senators and representatives, the vice president, but like at the time Biden was vice president, and I was part of his escort that was like that went through there and like passing checkpoint dick butt. Like.
But see, that's where those guys are so far up their asses, they don't even realize it. Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm glad the guys at Checkpoint Dick Butt are good. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Completely oblivious.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's like, I had a guy, I forget which base he was at, but this was early in the wars too, and he was at the air base doing security with the Air Force. And something was going on with their guys. Like they had to do PT for the day, right? Like back then when it was like, hey, I know there's a war, but nothing's really going on. Let's fuck with the guys. Let's make them do PT on the one day off they have, right? Yep. So he took the guys out. He's like, all right, bet. Everyone start grabbing rocks. Grab the biggest rocks you can, blah, blah, blah. And of course, everyone's like, what the fuck, dude? Why are corporal punishment? Like, come on, bro. He's like, and he's just directing them. No. Put that rock right there. Okay, yeah, go get another big rock. You put that rock there. Da, da, da. They had no idea. It didn't dawn to them until finally when they were all done. He's like, okay, yeah, we're good. They all go down to where he's at, and he made a giant dick on the side of this mound. And it was so big that the pilots could see it flying into the airbase. So, of course, the next day, he gets called in front of the colonel or whoever. He's like, are you kidding me? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, welcome to the whatever, And sure enough, everyone, they were like, dude, that was so worth it. Yeah, fuck these guys. We'll do it again, Sarge. So, I remember we were at the checkpoint in Kuwait, and we had the swing arms, right? They swing all the way up. You have the massive rope. You got to pull it down. And so we were so bored. We took items out of the coolers, whatever was in it. It was free game. So we just brought the swing arm down as hard as we could and just started smashing shit. So we had like apple puree going everywhere, milk cartons, energy drinks, like, yeah, grab more shit. And so then, of course, we've been doing this for a good 3 hours. Like, other posts are bringing their shit out of the cooler so we could just smash it together. We clean it up, but of course, you have all that juice drying in 120-degree heat or whatever. The next shift comes like, dude, why does it smell like tuna out here? Oh, I don't know. See you later, guys.
Have a good one, guys.
Fucking night shift, man. It's weird. It just stinks here. Like, got hot, dry milk and stuff, and
So, talking about soldiers, military people getting bored. We used to play a game called Dodge the Axe, right? Which started out as Dodge the Rock. Okay, so I'm literally getting into that, Brian, right now. All right, so Dodge the Rock, right? So do you know what a class 4 yard is?
I'm guessing class 4 munitions.
So munitions is class 5. Class 4 is building materials.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right, so like plywood, axes, hammers, pickaxes, concertina wire, all the stuff you would need to like build a checkpoint, basically. Sandbags, all that shit. Right. So I was in charge of the class 4 yard. So on one side of me is class 5, where all the ammo is. And on the other side is class 3, which is the fuel point. Class 3 is fuel. Right.
That's a bad spot to be wedged in between.
Yeah, right in the middle of them, right? So anyway, so we had set up some scrap plywood with we'd spray painted targets on them. And we were practice throwing knives and axes into them and stuff. And that got boring. And so then we was throwing rocks at each other. And so that got boring. And it's so let's up the ante and somebody stand in front of the target and you have to dodge the axe. Right. And so
I've done something similar to this.
Right. So okay. So dodging an axe is actually, as long as you're not too close to them, you had to be, I think it was 10 paces. So 30 feet. It was actually pretty easy because an axe flies in a straight line, right? So that got to be too easy. And so then we started playing dodge the pickaxe. Dodge the pickaxe is far more dangerous, right? Because the pickaxe head acts like a fulcrum, and the handle goes fucking everywhere, right? Like that thing is just whipping around all over the place, while that curved head like stays in the middle. So the only thing you can really do is just dodge the pointy metal part, and then you can get whacked by the stick if you're unlucky, right? Like, because you don't want to die, but you can get whacked by the post, right? So, or by the handle. So like that became the game of choice, right? We're playing this.
the game of choice.
Yeah, right. And so we're playing this game, right? And it is so hot outside, right? Like, you know how, like Kuwait, Iraq, it's like 120 degrees Fahrenheit. In the sun, it's really like 150 degrees Fahrenheit because it's just
80 to 100% humidity.
Yeah. And so fuel is kept in those blivets, right? Those canvas blivets.
Yep.
And they have those pressure relief valves on the top to release the fuel vapor.
Oh no.
Well, right up against the HESCO barriers.
Yep.
HESCO barriers are it's like canvas and screen wire that's filled with dirt. So they're really easy to in place barriers to like build.
It was originally a construction trash can, really. Like just throw all of your shit into this giant thing that will pick up with like a bobcat or some shit. And then they're like, yo, if we just fill that with concrete or sand or whatever heavy, dense material, we can build giant Lego blocks.
Yeah.
And that's literally what it was.
Yeah. And so that's what the walls were made of my class 4 yard. Well, that's what we were standing against. And on the other side of it was the waste fuel bag.
Oh, no.
And the pressure relief valve, we didn't know this, but the pressure relief valve wasn't working. So this 5,000 gallon bag, no, 15,000, I'm sorry, 15,000 gallon bag of fuel that had about 14,000 gallons of fuel in it. And so about 1,000 gallons worth of pressurized vapor in 150 degree sun was pressurized because that pressure relief valve was not working to vent the pressure when nobody noticed because it's the waste fuel bag, right? Like it's the fuel. If the fuel goes bad, you put it in that bag, and eventually somebody will come around and dump it, or they'll use it to put in like heaters or vehicles that are super old and that aren't picky on what fuel they'll use. Like nothing that's real finicky, like more modern vehicles or a helicopter or something like that.
Right, or it's just going to go off. Someone's going to think it's a rocket attack and just start shooting out.
Yeah.
Citizens are like screaming for their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Or that's the fuel you use in the burn pits, right? Like you dump that fuel on whatever you want to burn to dispose of. So I have this one soldier, Gilmore, who's a like big honking, real strong dude. He's got the pickaxe and he throws it at another dude, Hawk, who's a real nimble dude, and Hawk dodges it completely. And Gilmore knows that Hawk is a real nimble dude, so he puts some extra oomph into it, right? And it just so happens to catch the edge of the head of the pickaxe, catches the edge of that target that we had spray painted behind, so it flips up and over the HESCO barriers and disappears over the other side. And we hear an explosion. And it is this eruption. It's like it was like the sound.
I'm happy you said Gilmore or Hawk is rather than was.
Yes, they're both still alive. Like it was like the world's loudest balloon popping sound. Like it wasn't a pop sound though. It was like
kind of like a canister burst.
Yeah, exactly.
A pressure burst, yeah.
Yeah, it was so loud. Like I was inside of a Connex where my office was, and it rocked the Connex. Like I thought we got hit by a rocket or something. Right? So I come running outside, like, what in the hell? And as I come running outside, fuel is like whoosh, like fountaining over the side of this HESCO, soaking my stacks of plywood. Like, and I'm just like, no. And so we come running around the side to check the what's going on in class 3 yard. And that
Why do you think the soldiers did this? Because the sergeant wasn't around.
yeah, I wasn't. I mean, if I was there, I would have probably said, no, Gilmore, don't throw it that hard.
Yeah.
That's probably the only thing that would have changed. I'm not saying that this wouldn't have happened eventually, but
It would have been a little bit more contained.
yeah. Or maybe I'd have been like, okay, Gilmore, if you're going to throw it that hard, you need to take like 5 more steps back, whatever. But anyway, so like this thing, like I said, it popped like a balloon and fuel is everywhere. Now those fuel blivets sit inside a trench, right? Like a dugout spot with that is lined with canvas, with waterproof canvas. So that way, in case it does burst, it is contained inside this thing, right? Like this, whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
But
because hazmat, biological, we gotta save the
right.
environment.
Like you don't want it sinking in, getting and contaminating groundwater, right?
Yeah, like those guys been dumping their trash in the desert for the last 20 years, but no, your gasoline bladder.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one thing.
Yeah, that could ruin it. Yeah, they've been dumping raw sewage for generations, but my 1,000 gallons of fuel will mess it up. But anyway, like 14,000, whatever. Semantics. So anyway, so we go over there, and I mean, this thing is now it's a pond of fuel that is like, it is so hot that the vapors coming off of this is like I'm already lightheaded as I get close to it. I'm about to pass out. And so I'm just like, so everybody's like about to pass out. And I can clearly see sitting in the middle of this puddle is a pickaxe that's spray painted on the side of it, class 4 yard, property of Sergeant Head.
Oh my God.
Right on the side of it, right? And I'm just like, oh no, right? And of course, anytime there's destruction of government property.
Michael, you keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay. So anytime there is destruction of government property, there's an investigation that's done immediately. That's called a 15-6 investigation. So I'm like, oh no, I'm totally screwed. I'm going to have to end up paying for this because, ultimately, even though I wasn't there, it's still my fault. I'm still responsible. So they choose, and it's always an officer that does these investigations. So it's way too hot and the vapors are way too strong for anybody to be able to get close enough to this thing to be able to properly investigate what happened. So we have to wait till nightfall comes. So when it comes around to nightfall, and it's, now it's, instead of like 150 degrees in the sun, it's more like 90 degrees. And so we get up close, and we're able to get close enough to the berm when we're starting to pump the fuel out. We've got some pumps in there, and we're pumping the fuel out, and we're putting it into a new berm. And I'm like, okay, so the lieutenant. So the lieutenant that they chose to lead the investigation, he's like, hey, I need the highest ranking fueler to tell me what they think happened. Who do you think was the highest ranking fueler?
You?
On the base. Me. That's right. So they're like, hey, Sergeant Head, we need you to go with Lieutenant so-and-so to go and see what happened. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. I'm totally okay with helping with this investigation. I'm totally on board. So I go, and we go to check out, we go to see what's going on. And as we're walking over there, the lieutenant's like, I think I already know what happened. I checked the logs, and the last time that they checked the pressure relief valves was like 2 months ago. So it's got to be the pressure relief valve. In fact, the pressure relief valves were clogged on every single one of the bags. So I'm sure the bag just popped. That's all that happened. Just a bag popped. It's a good thing it happened on the waste fuel bag instead of the jet fuel bag. That's all I'm saying. And I'm like, oh, you're probably totally right, sir. That's totally my guess too. Definitely that. So we go over there and we get up there, and still plain as day, even though they're pumping the fuel out, plain as day, in the bottom of that trench is my pickaxe. Right, plain as day. It's still sitting there, even though it's dark outside now. We have spotlights shining down there, and I can see it sitting in a puddle of fuel in the bottom. And I'm like, yep, that is definitely my pickaxe. But what happens to paint when it's been sitting in fuel for a long time?
It erodes.
It erodes, right? So instead of it reading property of Sergeant Head Class 4 Yard, now it's just like all smeared black little flakes of paint on the side. And we get up there and we're looking around, and he's like, what do you think about I was like, sir, what do you want me to do with that pickaxe? He's like, oh, it's probably sitting on top. It just fell in there when it popped. You could just why don't you take it back to your Class 4 Yard, Sergeant Head? I'm like, sure, sir, no problem. I take the pickaxe and throw it back over in the fire. And then, he's like, he's looking around, and we find the pressure relief valve, and sure as shit is clogged. He's like, yep, I was right. It's clogged. I'm right. That's how I'm writing it up. Do you have anything to say, Sergeant Head is the highest ranking fueler on post? I'm like, I have nothing to say, sir. He's like, okay, that's how it's going in the report. So, yep.
I'm literally trying to do the mathematical calculations on how much money you literally just blew up.
Yeah. Well, okay, if you think so,
Diesel.
The military had to pay Kuwait $15 per gallon to have it shipped up into Iraq.
That's
right?
basically over $200,000 that you pickaxed into thin air.
Yeah.
Plus the cost of bladder.
The cost of the blivet, and a 15,000 gallon blivet is round about $75,000.
Oh, thank you, taxpayers. Thank you.
About $300,000.
Yep.
Just poof, up in smoke.
Oh my gosh, dude. There's like one or two I can think of. I love it, man. But look on Gilmore's face.
Oh man, Gilmore and Hawk were sweating bullets. Okay, because what happened? So, like, I would have been blamed, right? Because ultimately, I'm responsible. But the people that would have had to pay for this mistake would have been split evenly between myself, Gilmore, and Hawk, because we were the three. I would have been responsible, but they would have been the two involved in the activity. So that means we would have each had to pay about $100,000 to replace everything that was destroyed.
You see, they make you think that, but then, once you get into the court-martial process and everything, Article 15, you're like, oh, wait, you can't dock me more than this much pay?
Yeah, what is it?
It would have been a couple thousand, but, you wouldn't have been paying 100.
What it's like 40% of your base pay times 2 years or something like that.
Yeah.
That I think is the maximum. So, yeah. But still, almost half my pay for 2 years would have really sucked. Oh man, but yeah, that was my biggest, playing games and creating a minor incident.
So there's one or two. I know we're already over a 3-hour mark.
Is that all?
I know, right? Like, we should do this on a weekly basis. Come on, people, stream in.
Yeah.
So there was the time that we kidnapped some generals, and it wasn't really like a prank. It was more of like, hey, just get on this bus and you'll be okay. But there's then the other time when I pranked the anti-terrorism officer's office.
Oh no.
Because we were offices like next to each other. We shared the wall, and he did not know that when you start a prank war, I will continue to escalate until it goes past the point it should. Because this is when I was Staff Sergeant Select Lombardi, so I was still an E4 with a very high level of false confidence. To the point when the first sergeant looks at me, because I was all cut up, and he's like, from shaving, because back then, you had to shave every day. So my neck, I got to the point where my neck was just bloodied up. And first sergeant sees me in the chow hall, and he's like, Airman Lombardi. Yeah, what's up, Sergeant Singh? What the hell happened to your neck? Did you get in a fight with a cat or something? No, not for sergeant. I was just shaving. All right, you're going to go to the dock and look at a shaving waiver. No. So when you tell the first sergeant no in front of the anti-terrorism officer, the ATO turned around. He's like, oh, God. And that's all he said. He thought for sure the first sergeant was going to kill me on the spot because the first sergeant was from maintenance. So, he did not play games. If I had known I would have gotten 10% disability for having a shaving waiver, I would have gotten that bitch. But I didn't because I was still, oh, no, I don't need no shaving waiver. I'm a tough guy. Well, anyways, so that was the confidence level that Airman Lombardi had in Kuwait. And so there's this lieutenant, airfield management officer, and she also served as protocol, right? And of course, as you know, protocol officers for Brian and anyone else that's watching, protocol officers are the ones who are basically the babysitters of any distinguished visitor or guest that comes on base. So if you have a general coming on base, it's the protocol officer that's like, okay, what type of coffee do you want? What type of room temperature do you like? What type of shampoo? They do everything to make your time the best. And as you can probably assume, all protocol officers are attractive. It's weird. It's weird how it just magically seems to always happen.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. And so, of course, here's this officer who is drop dead gorgeous and who has a crush on her, Airman False Confidence Lombardi. So, of course, I just always like, oh, hey, LT. Hey, how's it going? Hey. So the ATO knows this. So, of course, I walk into my office one day, and he is just in mid-stride of plucking the keys off of my keyboard and just leaving them with LT. I'm like, oh, it's on, motherfucker. I forget the next round of what we did to one another, but I know the final round was when I realized his window on the Cadillac exterior did not lock.
Oh, no.
It just freely flowed. I felt every minute of it. I don't even understand what that context is, but I'm glad Brian is feeling it.
Oh,
so
3 hours.
Oh yeah, what is it now? Like 9 a.m. for him.
Yeah.
So the other thing too for Brian and everyone else, the ATO. Wait, hold on. It was for the 3 hours and 14 minutes. Yep. Yeah. 12 minutes. 12 minutes upon my counter. So for the ATO office, he has got secret information, like any type of weakness or vulnerability for that base. He has it in his office. He has to know how to counter it. So he has very classified information. His office is supposed to be locked if he is not there. And here's fat ass Confident Lombardi climbing in through his window when he is not there. I 550 cord every single item together. If there's an item in his office, it is 550 corded together. His hard drive, 550 corded to his speaker, to like the bookshelf, to the door handle. Like it is a jungle maze of 550 cord wire, which is connected to his door handle.
So the moment he opens the door.
It just undoes the contraption of chaos. I completely forget that I did it. Because he took like a day off. He went to another base to do like, some type of tour or meeting or some shit. So he had like a day or two off away from the office. I had no information. So I'm just like tapping away. All of a sudden I hear, motherfucker. I was like, oh shit. Let me swap out the battery. I'm still here.
Okay. I figured. We've been on here so long, your webcam died.
Okay, there we go.
Ta-da!
Well, that wish.com stuff really isn't reliable. Camera froze at the perfect time.
Yeah, you were like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, so literally, motherfucker. So then, of course, I had to go and undo all the 550 cord, but it was so worth it because he's like, how the fuck did you get into my office? I'm like, I have my ways. I'm a master ninja. And he was like, no, seriously, I will write you paperwork if you do not tell me how you got in my office. And so I literally walked right over to the window, just no fucking way. I'm like, yeah. So then, of course, I have to go to the outside so he can close it himself, lock it himself, just for me to put my hand on the window and so there's that time. So that's where he's like, okay, you win. Prank war's over. Do not touch my shit ever again. I was like, yeah, no problem, Master.
Yeah. Got you,
So-
man.
Yeah. So then just recently, it was about 2 years ago, we're in Wisconsin and we're doing Patriot North, which is, they have Patriot South and Patriot North. They're the largest National Guard exercises for humanitarian response, domestic stuff. And it's an awesome exercise. Like badass stuff goes on there. But we were this is when I was the first sergeant for the air traffic control guys. And so of course they're bringing in helos, they're bringing in the C-17s, coordinating all the air traffic. So of course, now's the day for the DV visit. All the bigwigs coming in, let's see the exercise, let's see how cool it is. And my guys are trying to get some spotlight time. And they should. My guys were doing some legit, like they were actually making Air Force history in doing some of the stuff they were. So I was really proud of those guys. But these generals that were flying in, they were going to land on a helo, then be given the whole tour of the base and all the other bullshit. They had senators, they had mayors, they had all the other DVs that were going to visit with the generals down off to the side. And here's a whole string of all the security forces and all of the state troopers that were also participating in the exercise and the local law enforcement with their nice little convoy. And oh yeah, we got the briefing. We're going to be security for the generals and hoorah rah. Okay. So of course, my air traffic controller did some really cool stuff with Navy SEALs in Africa. He's, brought in helos before, so he's directing the bird in. Here comes the generals. He greets them. Hey, great to see you guys. Yeah, right over here to the bus. We bring them right onto our bus, and we drive off. And there is every single cop just dumbfounded. They're like, what do we do? Where did the general go? Is the general going to come back? The general's supposed to be with us. And we just keep driving. We literally take the generals on our own tour, showing them all of our air traffic control stuff. I was just like, yeah, here's what this does. And we're trying to get this funded because this is this. It is. And of course, the generals are ex-pilots. So they're like, oh, dude, I haven't seen one of those in forever. I remember flying those on the simulator or the trainer. Mm-hmm. All of this. So then, so we're doing our thing with the generals. There's mass chaos and pandemonium. The senators, they are losing their shit. Because why are we not with the generals? You told us we would be with the generals. What? So then, of course, all the cops are getting amped up because what they said was going to happen is not happening. So they literally jump in their convoy and basically pull us over. They chase after us in the van. We had those generals for probably a good 15 minutes until they came and got us. And we were just like, great security, guys. Great security. So yeah, so that was the forever the squadron thing was, well, we've stolen some generals. What else can we get away with? So yeah, we did that. But I don't know. As far as other pranks, I mean, there's just shit that you don't think about, but in the moment, like when you're out there, you're bored.
Yeah, like we used to. We had PA systems on our gun trucks. So like the crazy shit that you would say to people as you drive past, and like, okay, so you get in a certain mindset when you're deployed, right? Like you can pretty much say and do whatever to when you're in country, right? Like you're driving past some Iraqis and you're like, hey, you all smell like moldy ball cheese, and and they're all like, they don't speak English, so they have no idea. So they're just like, like they're just waving hi, and because they have no idea what you said. And then, but then like you come back to the States, right? And like, we do what's called a shakeout.
Get some writing done. Coffee will be necessary. Okay, I'll hang around for Michael's and then head off.
Okay.
I see what you did there, Michael. Head off.
Yeah. But so then you come back to the States. You do what's called a shakedown, right? So like once you get all your stuff off the railhead, you have to drive it around and make sure everything still works, including testing out the PA systems. So you're driving them around and like you automatically go right back to where you were when you were deployed, right? So like let's say perhaps you're driving through the middle of post where like all these lieutenant colonels, maybe even the post general likes to hang out, and you're just like, y'all look like a bunch of bitches out here. I mean, like, look at that fat motherfucker. He looked like his uniform's about to give up. Oh my God. His zipper just said, I quit. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
It's like you're saying all this shit and then you just keep going, right? Like,
yeah, we are, Alan.
you're just talking shit over the PA. Like, I think one of the things I was like, God damn, that motherfucker right there, he'd break a camel's back. He's so fat. Like just saying all these kind of shit over a really loud PA system. Right? We've got like 6 speakers around this MRAP, and we just keep going like 20 miles an hour on post, drive right. And so like all these people like mouths wide open, like, ah. And
I would, Alan, but we're about to wrap up.
Yeah, we're about to. And like our unit designation is spray painted on the bumpers. Right? So it's not like they can't figure out who we are. Right. But anyway, so we talk all this shit to all these like colonels and lieutenant colonels.
I'm waiting the right.
But so then so we're talking all this shit and we just turn around and we just go right back up to our motor pool and park. And I had not even gotten out of my vehicle before I see our company commander running up, like red-faced, PC, like taking off his hat, throwing it on the ground, like, what the fuck? And I get out and I'm like, what's up, sir? What's going on? Why are you so mad? He's like, did you just say to Colonel so-and-so that he's so fat his zipper's going to give up? And I was like, did I? I don't think that was me, sir. Are you sure? That doesn't sound like something I would say. It's like, Sergeant Head, you are the only people driving around with MRAPs right now. Like, are you sure about that, sir? I heard 1-7 field artillery. They were driving around like same time we were.
Yeah.
Like same time. It's like, yeah, they're 1-7. You are 1-6-3. Those are not even close. Well, they both start with 1.
Yeah.
And, we didn't stop. He's like, sorry, Head, I'm going to have to write you up. Sir, I mean, his word against mine, I won't sign that. Like, sorry, Head, what do you mean you won't sign it? I'm like, prove it. Prove it. Was there a recording device involved? Well,
is there any other person that saw me?
Yeah, we're like, no. Okay, have a good day, sir. And I just walked off. Because, like I said, we just got back from like a 15-month deployment. What the hell are you going to tell me? Like, but yeah, like I said, you don't think, I wasn't thinking Because like whenever I drove around an entire, year and some change in Iraq, just talking shit to people, kept doing the same shit in the States.
Well, that was like, did I tell you the time I told the lieutenant colonel what's the problem? So same place, Wisconsin. I'm the first sergeant. The lieutenant colonel running the entire exercise. He is visiting my guys. I have a guy who's got a beard that looked just like mine. But he also added the bandana tied behind him with the cut-off sleeves, walking around saying, "Witness me," just yelling out as if he just got out of Vietnam and wanting to napalm everything around him. Profanity like a sailor, because he actually started in the Navy. Just going. Like, he's got the cigarette tucked in his bandana. He's smoking. He's just... So, of course, one of my guys, "Hey, Shirt. Yeah, what's up? Lieutenant Colonel wants to talk to you over there." All right. So I go over there. There's the Lieutenant Colonel and DJ. That was his name. He is standing just behind us. "Lieutenant Colonel, hey, Shirt, I want to talk to you about this. Just bullshit." "Okay, yeah. Okay, that's good. Thanks for the information." "Oh, and I want to talk to you about your troop there." "Uh-huh. What's the problem, sir?" And his eyes shot out like deer in the headlights. And he's like, "Excuse me? Yeah, what's the problem? I'm not sure what the problem is, Lieutenant Colonel." And you realized at that moment, no one in his career at that point had ever looked at him and challenged him to be like, "Please explain to me what the exact problem is." "Well, I don't know if you have noticed their Shirt, but he's a little bit..." "Oh, great worker. Yeah, so DJ is absolutely..." And I literally just cut him off and completely ignore he has violated like 5 uniform infractions. And just like, "Look, man, that guy's a badass. And you know what? The way we handle things is when we come to exercise, we come to work. Okay, so we gotta work as if we are in real world conditions. And you know what? The last thing we would be worried about is his fucking uniform if we are real world right now." Okay, Shirt. Okay. And he literally, like, he had just had a stick shoved up him because he had no idea how to even respond to it. And I was just like,
you broke him. You broke his brain.
You could see them firing and just like the twitch of like, "No, never have they told me what to do when an NCO talks back to me." And I of course was like, "Oh, don't worry about it, sir. He's got a shaving waiver too." So of course the first thing, I go right over to DJ. "Please tell me you have a shaving waiver on you." "Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I got it right here. You want to see it?" No. I just wanted to know for sure if I blatantly lied or just got lucky." So I got lucky.
Yep.
Granted, he retired early. Well, he didn't retire early, but DJ retired for other reasons shortly thereafter. But we all saw those signs. So yeah. But no, those are... Dude, we could be talking for hours. So honestly, you guys, I think we'll just call it here.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea.
We'll just have Michael on again when he comes out with like his other books in the series. But definitely, you guys, his details should be in the description. Facebook, Amazon author page, his book page, Wandering Warrior Judge. It is the first book of his Lit RPG series. It comes out August 8th. Please never do this again. I don't want more t-shirts. Well, of course, we can't just stop at t-shirts. We got sweatshirts. We've got, sweatpants, socks.
Oh, like Spanx?
Spanx.
Yeah, we can do some Spanx.
What if we did a onesie?
Yeah. Oh, I love a good onesie with the booties.
Yeah, with the booties.
Yeah. What if Brian's face was on the bottom of the booties?
Well, we've got multiple
like a repeating pattern. You know what I mean? Like he's upside down, right side up, sideways. We just got to make sure it's like perfectly printed on the bottom of the booties.
Gee, have a good night, guys. Thanks for the laughs, Ryan. Oh, I'm gonna need all of the shirts. All right, guys. August 8th. Wandering Warrior, Michael, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for everyone who tuned in.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
My fear is that I will someday be recognizable, not for my books, but for the batshit insane merchandise you fuckers.
That's
You know,
fair.
it's just like that guy that was in LA with his stuff, like Obey. Like seriously, we'll take that the major BJ, we'll put it into a two-tone, and then we'll just start plastering his face all over Vegas and Dragon Con.
I'm down.
Instead of BJ or instead of Obey,
No.
it'll just be Major BJ.
And like magnets, like passing vehicles, just slap them on vehicles as they go by.
Oh, well, yeah, but I like the sticker because it's harder to come off.
Well, yeah, that's true.
We got Brian shirts, Brian pants, Brian socks, Brian onesies, Brian shrimp. Oh, all right. Brian
saxophones and urinals.
We can do it so the face is right there, so it's like you're mouthing Brian's face.
Oh, what do we got? Like Brian, on tattoos. You know what I'm talking about?
And the goddamn
Oh man!
All right, guys, we're out.
See you later.